Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Great Voyage. Let you play cubes, you dig through the upside-down mountain. Chapter 1. Jolin rubbed his butt and stood up. Glancing at the dead man at his feet, he sighed helplessly. He remembered that he was playing games at home, when suddenly his eyes went dark, and then he felt weightless and fell down rapidly. Before he could panic, he landed with a bang, but to his surprise, he didn't fall to his death, but heard a scream, and felt soft under his buttocks, as if he had hit someone else. Now it seems that not only hit people, but also killed people. Sorry, but it's not my fault. God knows what's going on. I can only say that you are too unlucky. Jolin's apology was very insincere, but he really didn't blame him for this incident. Who would have thought that playing games at home would cause accidents? However, Jolin quickly noticed that the person he killed looked familiar, not to mention whether he had seen his face before, but said that the two square hairstyles on his head were very unique. This hairstyle has only been seen in one place, One Piece theatrical version. In the theatrical version 3D2Y, one of the partners of the big pirate Duel, I can't remember the name, but this hairstyle is very distinctive, and everyone who has seen it has some impressions. In particular, the cubic fruit that can create and manipulate cubes is still fresh in my memory. One the favorite of MC players. So, this is the world of One Piece. Jolin guessed, and then continued to observe the corpse at his feet, and found that the dead man looked more and more like Duel's cube partner. Beside the corpse, besides a fruit rolled aside, there was also a square hammer. This square hammer made Jolin more sure of the identity of the dead man. So this person is a pirate deserves his death, and he deserves to be smashed to death, which made Jolin feel a lot more comfortable, and he no longer feels guilty about smashing someone to death. However, One Piece world. Jolin became distressed again. Although watching anime is fun and exciting, this world is very dangerous. I am a person who is not even skilled in using a kitchen knife. How can I survive in this world? Also, what is it now? Has the plot started yet? Where is this place? A series of questions came to my mind, making Jolin very tangled. Just when Jolin was full of pessimism about the future, the fruit on the ground suddenly changed. I saw that the fruit directly turned into a square shape, and dense spiral patterns quickly spread out on the surface. This is, turned into devil fruit. Surprised, Jolin quickly picked up the fruit, looked at the corpse first, then at the fruit, and couldn't help guessing that the fruit that had just completed its transformation was a cubic fruit. After all, as soon as the cube fruit user dies, the next fruit becomes a new devil fruit. And the shape is a cube. What is that, not a cube fruit? So Jolin opened his mouth and took a bite. Now that the fruit was in his hands, how could he not eat it? Just now I was worrying about the future, but this devil fruit is here. Someone gave me a pillow when I was sleepy. It seems that luck is really good, and the future does not need to be so pessimistic. Ouch! This taste is absolutely amazing. Jolin swallowed the pulp with tears, and threw the rest of the pulp aside. For a moment, Jolin felt that he had a special power, and immediately pressed one hand on the ground. A large block rose from the ground, and the block could move under the control of his thoughts. It really is a cubic fruit. Jolin looked happy, but quickly calmed himself down. He glanced at the corpse, then reached out to touch the corpse without hesitation, and found some Baileys. Then used the ability to turn the corpse into a cube, and then make a deep pit on the ground, filling it with the corpse cube, the block hammer and the remaining pulp. Good job of destroying corpses and destroying traces with one hand. Jolin didn't want to stay here too long. The remnants of the walled pirates might be nearby, so Jolin couldn't do it now. So hurry up and go. So Jolin chose a relatively thick tree, pressed one hand on the trunk, and immediately divided the trunk into several squares. Isn't this the tree-rolling behavior in the 1100th world? Although I am not an experienced player, I can at least mine trees. It will definitely be interesting to play according to MC's operation in the future. A smile appeared on Jolin's face, and he manipulated a cube to float to his feet. He raised his feet to stand on the block, and then used his ability to control the block to fly into the air, leaving the scene of the crime easily. When Jolin flew to high altitude, he happened to be flying side by side with a news bird, so Jolin paid for a newspaper under the bewildered eyes of the news bird. See Circle Calendar 1508. Lin finally fixed the time, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. I didn't expect to come to One Piece World 12 years ahead of the plot, which is really interesting. Now is the 10th year of the Great Pirate Era. The sea is still so magnificent. The Four Emperors pattern of New World is estimated to have not yet formed. The 7 warlords of the sea system may also be implemented. Marine 3 Admiral is still Vice Admiral, the protagonist Monkey D. Luffy is only 5 years old. There's so much that hasn't happened yet, it's really interesting. Since I came to this world and gained the fruit ability, how can I not have fun? Then set a small goal first. Small goal: overthrow the world government. Lin is only 20 years old this year, and he still has the rebelliousness and enthusiasm of a teenager in his heart, and he has begun to have the hard work of a young man. Simply put, he loves to play, dare to think, and dare to fight. A restless person, at a restless age, came to a restless world and era. It is destined to be impossible to choose a mediocre life. As for why I chose to overthrow the world government, it is naturally because I hate celestial dragons, and if the goal is set bigger, there will be more pressure and motivation, and it will be more fun. Whether it can be completed or how to complete it will not be mentioned. In short, the goal has been determined. A day later, Lin finally flew to a small town. At this time, Lin was thirsty and hungry. After all, he had no experience in going to sea, so he didn't bring food and fresh water. He almost became the first traverser to die of thirst at sea. Fortunately, he was lucky. When he arrived in the small town, he quickly found a restaurant to eat and drink, and finally saved his life. Restaurants are also a good place to hang out with all kinds of people, and many people like 8 trigrams, which can let you hear what you want to know. For example, here is East Blue. For example, this town is very close to Logue Town. Another example is that recently East Blue has an overlord called the Walker Pirates. Didn't expect to be in East Blue. Lin couldn't help being thankful that he was not on the Grand Line, otherwise he would have been consumed to death by getting lost even if he had not encountered a terrible storm by flying recklessly across the sea. Lin decided to stay near the town temporarily. The money you get from touching the corpse is not small. As long as Lin doesn't spend money extravagantly, it should be able to last for a while. He first bought a new suit of clothes, then bought a map, fresh water and food, chose a deserted island on the map, and flew over. When I arrived on the desert island, I started exercising immediately. That's right, what Lin has to do now is to exercise. Familiarity with fruit ability is one aspect, and strengthening strength is also another aspect. Such strength may be able to run wild in East Blue, but it cannot guarantee absolute safety. The first is to exercise fruit ability. Lin's exercise method is also simple, that is, to roll trees, turn each tree into cubes, harvest some wild fruits for snacks, and fight if you encounter wild animals. When you get tired of pulling trees, you start to pull the ground. It didn't take long for the ground to be dug out into an underground world. After one day, Lin is familiar with the making of cubes, and the number and size of cubes to be made can basically be whatever he wants. On the second day, Lin started to practice the control of cubes again. He had to know the number of cubes he could control and the speed of the cubes. Although fruit ability is already the same as instinct, becoming stronger does not happen overnight. Only by continuous exercise can the fruit ability be used to the point where it is handy. However, what troubled Lin was that he didn't know how to exercise his physical fitness. Leaving aside whether his body, which does not belong to this world, could be strengthened through exercise, this exercise method was also particular. Indiscriminate and crazy exercise is harmful to the body. So, don't mess around. It seems that I should inquire about Marine's exercise method. It would be even better if I can get the Marine 6 Styles exercise method. Lin pondered in his heart, thinking about what should be done. At this time, a huge pirate ship suddenly came to the deserted island. Looking at the pig head and skull pattern on the sail of the pirate ship, Lin recognized that it was the Walker Pirates, the new overlord of East Blue. Just, what are the Walker Pirates doing here? Lin didn't hide, but stood on the coast watching the pirate ship approach. The pirates also found Lin, but they didn't care, they were still talking and laughing loudly. Ha 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 ha, the town just now was not bad. There are quite a lot of Baileys that were robbed, and there are still a lot of supplies, enough for us to go to the Grand Line. The most exciting thing for Lousy is seeing the helplessness of the people in that town. Killing people is so addictive. Tisk tisk tisk. You really don't know how to enjoy. A few girls in the small town are a good taste. You idiots hurry up and work. We are going to lay an ambush on this deserted island. When the warship from Logue Town catches up, we will beat Marine hard. It would be better if we can get the warship. Ha ha ha, I want to taste the female Marine. A sentence of unpleasant words came to Jolynn's ears, and Jolynn's expression suddenly turned cold. Looking at the direction the Walker pirates came from, it was the town where Jolynn ate and shopped before. It seemed that the town had already suffered. Sure enough, pirates have no good things. All be worse. Jolynn immediately stood on a block, and controlled the block to fly over the pirate ship of the Walker pirates. The pirates were stunned for a moment, and then they all issued alarms, enemy attack. This person is demon fruit power. Jolynn stared at the pirates coldly, and quickly locked on a hulking man on the deck, who immediately transformed into a pig-headed man. Walker, the captain of the Walker pirates, is a piggy fruit-capable person. A bounty of 20 million Baileys is offered. You can go to hell. Jolynn spoke in a low voice, stretched out his hands to activate the fruit ability, quickly compressed the air into a block, and then slammed it down towards the pirate ship below. Boom! The air cube exploded directly on the deck, and 4 or 5 pirates were blown away on the spot. But it didn't end. Jolynn continued to make air cubes, and continued to bomb the pirate ship. Boom! 2 more pirates died. Boom! The deck of the pirate ship exploded. Pig-headed Walker was full of gloomy and murderous intent, but as the overlord of one side of the sea, he was naturally calmer. He immediately commanded the rest of the crew to dock the pirate ship. It is too disadvantageous to fight air-to-air at sea, and you must go to the island to be safe. At least you can run on the island without worrying about the boat being bombed and sunk. The desire to survive aroused the motivation of the pirates, and soon the pirate ship was parked on the shore. Walker immediately jumped to the shore with the remaining pirates, and then looked up and looked at Jolynn. Jolynn didn't care, and continued to make air cube bombs, causing heavy casualties to the pirates. Before long, Walker was the only one left on the island. Walker, who turned into a pig-headed man, has rough skin and thick flesh, and the air cube can't kill him, so Jolynn had to land on the island, ready to confront Walker head-on. Unexpectedly, as soon as he landed, Walker suddenly transformed into a 3-meter-tall wild boar with tusks. With a kick of its hind hoof, the wild boar slammed into Jolynn at an extremely fast speed. Jolynn pressed his hand on the ground calmly. When the wild boar was only 3 meters away from him, blocks suddenly rose from the ground, and the wild boar collided into a pile of blocks. However, the cube was smashed into pieces, which did not stop the wild boar from moving forward. Mahaha, although I don't know who you are, but you are dead, Lousy will kill you now, ha. Before Walker finished his harsh words, he suddenly felt that his feet were empty, and there was a big hole in the ground at some point. He fell directly into it, and there was a roar. Jolynn had no expression on his face, and it was a breeze to use his ability to build a larger square pit. Before Walker could react, Jolynn reached out and slapped Walker on the head, and Walker turned into a huge cube on the spot, and he was stunned again. Jolynn just squatted by the side of the pit, watching Walker, who had turned into a cube and couldn't move. The group destroyed the Walker pirates. It should be regarded as revenge for the people of that small town. However, is the so-called East Blue Overlord only at this level? Jolynn suspects that he has seriously underestimated his own strength, but it is better to be on the safe side in everything. You can underestimate yourself, but you must not drift away. Otherwise it will be easy to die. Should I kill you and exchange your head for a bounty, or how? Jolynn couldn't help but think about it. Thinking of this guy's rough skin and thick flesh, he couldn't help being envious. It would be great if he could transfer this guy's physical energy to himself, huh? Wait a minute. An inspiration came out of nowhere, and Jolynn came up with the idea of trying. He quickly collected the money and materials on the pirate ship, and found that they had piled up into a hill, but don't worry, he directly turned the hill-like materials into cubes. Then he picked up Walker and flew to other deserted islands with this square of supplies. Not long after Jolynn left, a warship arrived at the deserted island. Seeing that the Walker pirates were wiped out and Captain Walker was missing, the Marines were all stunned. However, this was not within the scope of Zhou Lin's consideration. He guessed that Marine would arrive soon, so he took the supplies and Walker away. He had an idea and needed a quiet environment to test. It didn't take long to find another desert island. First, I flew around the deserted island and found no one on the island, so I flew directly to the side of the mountain, opened a cave with my ability, and sealed myself in the cave, leaving only a hidden light transmitting vent. When he looked at Walker again, he couldn't help rubbing his hands. Walker suddenly felt chills all over his body. Doesn't this man have some special hobbies? Zhou Lin pressed his hand on the Walker cube, and then began to imagine in his mind, the ability suddenly activated. Physical cube, separate, A small transparent cube was abruptly separated from Walker's body, only the size of Zhou Lin's palm. Zhou Lin's face immediately beamed with joy, but he didn't expect this inspiration to come true. I was still envious of Walker's physical fitness before, and then suddenly thought that I could separate Walker's physical fitness as a cube, and then integrate the physical fitness cube into my body. Even air can be made into cubes, so physical fitness should be fine. In this unreasonable world, you have to abandon the knowledge of physical chemistry you have learned before, and everything depends on your imagination. Just like stuffing the shadow of a swordsman into Luffy's body can make Luffy understand swordsmanship, only you can't imagine, there is nothing impossible. This made Zhou Lin unable to restrain his thinking. Since physical energy can be separated into cubes, what about swordsmanship? What about Marine 6 styles? What about hockey? What about the fruit? If you can do it, then you have found a shortcut to become stronger. Without further ado, Zhou Lin began to try the experiment, but to ensure safety, he had to kill Walker first. If the fruit ability is suddenly released when experimenting on himself, wouldn't Walker recover? That's very dangerous. So, Zhou Lin continued to activate his ability, immediately breaking Walker into cubes. Memory blocks, skill blocks, corpse blocks, and a dark block should be devil fruit blocks. It seems that they can really be separated. Moreover, Walker's death does not prevent the continued existence of cubes. It seems that as long as the cube fruit ability is well developed, it can also embark on the road of bug. In the future, we should think out of fixed thinking. Holding the physical cube, Zhou Lin continued to use his ability to break down the physical cube into smaller cubes. First 1 centimeter, then half a centimeter, then micron, nanometer, anyway, from the macro to the micro, it becomes a cube particle invisible to the naked eye, and then slowly manipulates these cube particles to enter the body and integrate into one's own physical energy system. I don't know how long it has passed, Zhou Lin finally heaved a sigh of relief, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He succeeded. At this time, he felt that he was full of strength, but he was still not used to it. It seemed that he had to strengthen his training to allow his body to absorb the external physical energy faster. So Zhou Lin did not hesitate, and started a crazy exercise mode. Running, push-ups, squats, leapfrog with big cubes are all some basic exercises. As long as they are not excessive, they should not damage the body and can adapt to strength faster. A day later, Zhou Lin was very happy while eating barbecue. He has successfully absorbed Walker's physical strength, and his current strength is not too weak. As long as he doesn't encounter a pervert like Garp, he will definitely be able to run rampant in East Blue. In addition to the remaining cubes, Zhou Lin threw the skill cubes, memory cubes and corpse cubes into the sea in disgust. Walker's strength is definitely not good, it doesn't matter if those skills are not absorbed. As for the corpse, it can actually be exchanged for a bounty, but Zhou Lin doesn't plan to deal with Marine for the time being, otherwise just killing the overlord of East Blue will be enough for Marine to worry about. Getting stronger first is the most important thing. There are devil fruit black cubes left, Zhou Lin thinks he can try it. Find a wild fruit on a deserted island, press the black square onto the wild fruit, the black square immediately melts into the wild fruit, and the wild fruit quickly turns into a devil fruit covered with spiral stripes. Ha ha, sure enough, it worked. Use this method to capture devil fruit in the future. Zhou Lin was very happy, so he flew the cube to the sea again, used the air cube to fry fish, killed a few sea animals and brought them back to the island to continue roasting. He felt that his appetite had also grown a lot, probably because his strength had become stronger. In the following days, Zhou Lin flew to the reversing mountain with the material cube. But it is not to go to the Grand Line, but to dig a hole on the upside-down mountain in front of Calm Belt to live temporarily. The supplies have been brought enough, and you can live for a long time. It took 2 days to fly and finally arrived at the destination. Standing on the upside-down mountain, with Calm Belt in front of him, he couldn't help being proud for a while. Without wasting time, they first dug a cave to live in, then flew over the Calm Belt, dropped an air cube to bomb the sea, and called the Sea Kings out. Sea Kings really lived up to Jolin's call, and several heads popped up at once. Needless to say, these Sea Kings are big enough, each one is like a small island. Jolin bravely flew over, slapped a Sea Kings, directly turned the Sea Kings into a huge cube, and then controlled the cube to fly back. The Sea Kings who turned into cubes were dumbfounded, and the Sea Kings who had just emerged were also dumbfounded. But Jolin had already returned to the upside-down mountain with the Sea King's cube, quickly got into the cave, and blocked the entrance of the cave in an instant. Although the Sea Kings were smarter, their IQs were not too high, and they went back to the sea soon after. Jolin peeked at the entrance of the cave for a long time, and finally heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the Sea Kings disappear. Look at the huge Sea King's cube next to you, so that you can block the mouth of the Sea Kings when making the cube, otherwise if this Sea Kings calls out, other Sea Kings will definitely attack the cave. Without further ado, Jolin directly used his abilities to decompose the Sea Kings into physical cubes and meat cubes. This is Jolin's first step to become stronger. Compared with humans, Sea Kings are definitely stronger. If you absorb the physical energy of Sea Kings properly, you can definitely make your physical body stronger quickly. And there is no one coming to this place, so you won't be disturbed, and the meat of Sea Kings can also be eaten, so you don't have to worry about food. There are a lot of fresh water, melons, fruits, oil and salt in the materials obtained before, so there is no need to worry. Jolin believes that by the day he leaves, he will be able to run wild in the first half of the Grand Line, and then he will go hunting for Marine 6 styles, devil fruit and hockey. 3 months passed by. At this time, Logue Town, Marine Division. Marine Captain Ryan, who was in charge of the garrison, rubbed his eyebrows with a headache, feeling very unhappy. 3 months ago, the Walker pirates attacked the small town near Logue Town, and they slapped Ryan hard. Ryan originally wanted to concentrate his efforts to destroy the Walker pirates, but he did not expect that when the warship caught up, the Walker pirates had already been wiped out, and the captain, Walker, was nowhere to be found. This hit Ryan even more. But it's not all news. A large number of cubes were found on that deserted island, and it can be determined that one of the remnants of the walled pirates, the cubic fruit-capable Garum, made it. Pirates fighting each other is a good thing for Marine. But now the Walker pirates are over, but the walled pirates still exist. The walled pirates used to be a big pirate group active in the Grand Line. The Captain Burndy Walled is called World Destroyer, which is very dangerous. However, after Burndy Walled was sent to Impel Down, the walled pirates have become out of date. The remnants of the walled pirates came to East Blue in order to survive, but Garum, who was only one of the members, wiped out the East Blue Overlord Walker pirates, which shows the danger of the walled pirates. The headquarters ordered Ryan to destroy the walled pirates as soon as possible, which made Ryan very upset. He is the captain of the weakest sea, it is no wonder that he can do better than the pirate group that used to run amok on the Grand Line. Even if this pirate group does not have a captain, it is not easy to mess with. However, according to recent intelligence, the walled pirates seem to be looking for Garum as well. This cubic fruit ability user seems to be missing. At this moment, the adjutant suddenly slammed into the door. It's not good. It's not good, Captain Ryan. Something serious happened. The adjutant was terrified. What's the fuss? We're Marines, so we need to be calm. Ryan reprimanded. Captain Ryan. The patrolman in the upside-down mountain area came to report that a big hole suddenly appeared in the upside-down mountain. It seems that 2 large warships can enter at the same time. Nani, are you kidding? How can there be a big hole in upside-down mountain? Ryan looked in disbelief, but seeing that the adjutant didn't look like he was joking, he immediately took out his phone bug to contact the patrol boat in person, and got the exact same answer. There really is a big hole in upside-down mountain. Ryan couldn't sit still. I'll go and see for myself. If it's true, such a big thing must be reported to the headquarters. At this time, in the big cave of Reversing Mountain, Jolin was still a little dazed. For the past 3 months, he has been catching sea kings, absorbing sea king's energy cubes, and eating sea king's meat, and then he must exercise while absorbing energy. The way to exercise is to constantly consume physical energy and use fruit abilities. Consuming energy is also simple. Directly use the ability to make thick rocks into square armor and wear it on the body, carrying out weight-bearing exercises day and night. And use the fruit ability to dig the mountain continuously, or keep digging day and night. Jolin also took advantage of the organization to think of some skills, such as making the cube smaller and smaller. This can be done very smoothly. After all, Devil Fruit's ability does not need to consider any conservation laws. The cube can be manipulated by him, and it can be enlarged or reduced at will. Then the rock cubes dug out of the mountain were shrunk and put away by him. Just like collecting cubes in MC, you can use these cubes to build houses and islands in the future, and even Sky Island. Thinking of having his own islands in the future, Jolin couldn't help being happy. It's just that he didn't expect that he dug the mountain so hard that he dug a huge hole directly inside the inverted mountain. When he found that the west side had been pierced, he was immediately stunned. So here it is, West Blue. But Jolin came to his senses at this moment, but couldn't help showing a smile of great interest. I pierced the upside-down mountain between East Blue and West Blue. If the passage to the Grand Line is also pierced, wouldn't the pirates be able to easily enter the Grand Line? Haha, this will definitely make Marine and the world government feel bad. Thinking of this, Jolin no longer hesitated, and immediately started the mountain digging mode. The first thing is to remove all the rocks under your feet, and let the seawater flow in, and the depth must be sufficient, otherwise the big boat will not be able to enter. Then go back and punch through and widen the East Blue hole as well. Then turn around and dig in the direction of the Grand Line, and it didn't take long to dig through the passage. Will Laboon, who was planning to hit the upside-down mountain every day, was stunned, as if he didn't understand why such a big cave suddenly appeared. Crocus, the lighthouse keeper at Twin Point who was about to stop Laboon, was also taken aback. Seeing this, Jolin hurriedly greeted with a smile, "Hey! Uncle Crocus, Laboon, how are you all?" Laboon tilted his head, he didn't remember knowing this man. Crocus pursed his lips, and asked after a long time, "Who are you? You dug this cave." Jolin didn't hide it. "I was bored and wanted to dig on the upside-down mountain to see if there were any treasures in the mountain. I didn't expect that the upside-down mountain would be dug through by me without digging. Now East Blue and West Blue are connected. Later I thought, so many people want to come to the Grand Line, I might as well dig a passage to the Grand Line." Crocus. Even though Crocus had seen a lot, he couldn't hold back at this time. In the next second, I couldn't help laughing out loud, tears came out of my eyes. "Ha ha ha ha, upside-down mountain has been dug through. This is unprecedented. Little guy, you are really good, the whole world will be shocked by your feat today." Jolin just hee-hee, and then silently expanded the hole. Crocus immediately recognized Jolin's fruit ability, and also knew that the person with the cubic fruit ability was a crew member of the Walled Pirates, but this person seemed to have nothing to do with the Walled Pirates. Crocus asked, "Who the hell are you?" Jolin just shook his head, "It's not important. Uncle, if Marine asks, you can say that it was the cube fruit capable user of the Walled Pirates who did it." Crocus didn't ask further, "It's okay, I'll just say that the ability user himself said so." At this time, Jolin heard a voice behind him, guessing that it was the arrival of Marine's warship. So he bid farewell to Crocus and Laboon, controlled the cube to send himself high into the sky, and flew towards East Blue again. He doesn't want to go to the Grand Line just yet, East Blue hasn't played enough yet. Not long after Jolin left, Ryan's warship sailed out of the big hole. When he saw Crocus and the whale, Ryan finally confirmed that the new passages of East Blue, West Blue and Grand Line were opened. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. A group of Marine executives are meeting, mainly to discuss the combat plan against the increasingly severe New World situation and arrange the implementation of the 7 warlords of the sea system. The supreme leader of the world government, the 5 elders, has approved Marine Marshal Kong's proposal for the 7 warlords of the sea system. At present, what Marine has to do is to recruit the 7 big pirates, not to oppose the implementation of the system. Marshal Kong is also very helpless. He naturally knows that the Shichibukai system is a shame to Marine. After all, Marine has always regarded the elimination of pirates as justice, but now he has to recognize the legal status of the 7 big pirates. This is undoubtedly a slap in the face of himself. But there is no way. Since the era of great pirates, the sea has become more and more difficult to control. The formation of the great pirates separatist regime has made New World more chaotic, and Marine's status has also been threatened. However, the world government does not want the Marine to grow too much, which leads to the passive situation of the Marine. The advantage of the Shichibukai system being passed is that it can achieve the goal of balancing the sea without expanding the Marine. The world government doesn't care about Marine's face and justice, what they want is balance. And Marine is just a tool of the world government, so there is no need to care too much. There was a lot of opposition within Marine, but they were all suppressed by Kong, just as Kong was about to resign to be the commander-in-chief of the world government's army, and he could bear this notoriety. Just put Sengoku on stage then. But also because of this, the atmosphere of the meeting was very different. Admiral and recruit trainer Zephyr, Vice Admiral Akainu and Aokiji did not speak, obviously very dissatisfied with the Shichibukai system. If it hadn't been for Kong and Sengoku's face, they would have taken the case long ago. At this moment, the phone bug rang suddenly. Everyone immediately frowned. It stands to reason that such an important meeting should not be disturbed by phone calls. The only possibility is that something serious happened. Kong answered without hesitation, Moses. This is Marshal Kong, what happened? Your Majesty, something serious has happened. The voice of Captain Ryan's collapse came. A large hole has been dug here in the East Blue Upside-Down Mountain, which is enough for 2 large warships to pass through, and it connects West Blue and the Grand Line. Nani, Captain Ryan, is this true? Don't talk nonsense. Back to your Excellency, Marshal. I dare to guarantee by my position that it is true. I have personally led the warship through the cave, and the reverse mountain has really been dug through. Everyone present looked at each other in blank dismay. Even Garp looked dazed, it was too unbelievable for such a thing to happen. Kong asked again, who did it? Are there any suspects? Captain Ryan immediately said, yes. The cubic fruit ability user of walled pirates, Garum. There are many cubes in the big hole. The lighthouse keeper at Gemini Cape also said that he saw the fruit ability user digging through the big hole with his own eyes. I also personally admit that I am a member of the walled pirates. Captain Ryan, you guard the entrance of the cave yourself. Remember not to let the pirates pass through, I will send someone to see it immediately. Obey. Kong hung up the phone bug, his face full of excitement. It was the first time he showed such a look. Even when the Roger pirates defeated the flying pirates, he didn't lose his composure too much. This incident really made people too speechless. Sengoku, Zephyr, and Crane Vice Admiral also looked at each other in blank dismay. Garp couldn't help laughing out loud, ha 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 ha. You're so ridiculous. What did this cube fruit user think, that he dug through the upside-down mountain? He's a genius. The wretched Kizaru also said, the current pirates are so overcoated, they even dug through the upside-down mountain. Akainu thumped the table angrily, pirates should be killed. This cubic fruit power user should be killed. Today he dug through the obstacles of East Blue, West Blue and Grand Line, and he can't dig through the 2 passages before and after Grand Line tomorrow. He wants to make the pirates more unimpeded. You must kill him, or there will be endless troubles. Everyone nodded when they heard the words, obviously agreeing with Akainu's words. But Kong said, Porisalino, you are fast, go to Twin Cape first, and remember to report to Sengoku after confirming. A bounty for the walled pirates, and more efforts to hunt them down. Sengoku and Kizaru quickly took the lead. But Kizaru is very helpless. Every time he does this kind of thing, but he never gives a raise. But what can be done? Who makes him the fastest? Fortunately, Kizaru is also interested in this matter, so he will take it to watch the excitement, and if he encounters the remnants of the walled pirates, he can also eliminate them by the way, and he will consider it as adding some merit to himself. This will make the promotion to Admiral much smoother in the future. Before the meeting ended, Kizaru went straight to action. Instead of taking the warship, he took the red line directly. Anyway, the world is spherical. It takes half a circle to walk by sea, and half a circle to walk by red line. With his fruit ability, He is naturally faster than a warship, and he doesn't have to worry about having no place to rest when he walks on red line. But before Kizaru arrived, Morgan's newspaper had already reported the matter. In an instant, the whole world fell into a state of confusion. A certain sea area in the New World, on the Moby Dick. Marco was drinking while reading the newly bought newspaper. When he saw the headline, he couldn't help but spit. The upside-down mountain was dug through. East Blue, West Blue and Grand Line are now unblocked. Marco's eyes widened, and he quickly read the text, and there were photos, and he was even more confused when he saw it. Then he stopped drinking and hurried to find Whitebeard with the newspaper. Daddy, Daddy, big event. The upside-down mountain has been dug through. Puff. All the crew members who heard Marco's shouting laughed, thinking that Marco was insane. Even Whitebeard couldn't help being speechless. But when Marco put the newspaper in front of Whitebeard, everyone saw the content of the newspaper clearly, and looked at each other for a moment, unable to believe it was true. Then the next second, hearty laughter soared into the sky. Coo la 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 la. What kind of cleverness did this? It's really interesting. Whitebeard was obviously amused. After all, it was the first time he had heard of such a strange thing, and he didn't know how to express this feeling. It can only be said that the people who do this are simply talented. Not only Whitebeard, but also Kaido, Big Mom and all the big pirates can't hold back. The Red Hair Pirates, who were planning to visit East Blue, naturally also read the newspaper, and the red-haired Shanks and the crew couldn't help laughing, praising who did the good thing. Just in time, when you go to East Blue, you don't need to go up the reverse mountain, just go to the cave. At this time, Jolin had already quietly flown to Logue Town. Jolin did not show any excitement about the town where One Piece was born and executed. He doesn't like pirates, and he doesn't like Roger's way of changing the times, because such changes are too bloody and brutal, with countless blood and bones piled up. It seems that all the evils are erupting in this era. Whether it is pirates, marine or world government, they all put aside everything in this rampant era and launched crazy killings for money and power. In the end, it is the weak and innocent people who suffer. In just 10 years of the Great Pirate Era, countless people have suffered. Of course, the pirates are rushing to the big secret treasure, but the poor pirates can only rely on burning, killing and looting if they want to go to sea. Nourishing. How many people are completely addicted to the pirate game? Evil desires are crazily breeding at this time, so the so-called raftel is not so important. What is important is to be able to live a life of whatever one wants. This is a sinful age, and the people very intuitively believe that Roger is the root of evil. Although Jolin knew that the root of evil in this world was the world government headed by celestial dragons, it did not prevent him from denying Roger's actions. That so-called history could be important, and it could really spark a revolt. But the most direct victims of the Great Pirate Era are the common people, aren't they? Will the common people really rebel against the world government because of the historical truth found by the pirates? Shouldn't the pirates be the ones who should resist first? Roger's choice is actually putting the cart before the horse. In comparison, Jolin appreciates the approach of the revolutionary Drago even more. As the saying goes, where there is exploitation and oppression, there is resistance. It may not matter whether you know the historical truth or not. The important thing is to have the courage to fight against the forces of exploitation. That's why there is a revolutionary army. The rise of the revolutionary army is inevitable for people to resist. When will you go to Drago? Maybe you can have a good talk with him. Since the world government is to be overthrown, the best partner is the revolutionary army, isn't it? But, has Drago pulled the team up now? Quote. Jolin was thinking in his heart, but he kept walking, wandering in Logue Town. Soon he found out that Captain Ryan, who was stationed in the town, had gone to guard the cave entrance at Reverse Mountain, and the marine guards in the town were very weak. In addition, many fishing teams have also rushed to the entrance of the cave. It is said that the fish from the West Blue and Grand Line have swam to the East Blue. They can be caught in large quantities and sold, and they will definitely be very popular. Jolin didn't expect this. That's right, fish can swim. Now that the passage has been opened, it is normal for fish to swim to East Blue from other sea areas. But this is not what Jolin cares about. He first got into a deserted alley, put a cloak on himself, and then went straight to the auction house and sold the pig fruit for 100 million Baileys. No matter how rubbish the devil fruit is, the lowest price is 100 million Baileys. Originally, because Walker was the overlord of East Blue, the price of piggy fruit would increase, but the auction house is full of human beings. Seeing Joe Lin's appearance of not wanting to be recognized as his true identity, they deliberately lowered the price. Joe Lin didn't bother to care about it, so he got out of the way after taking 100 million Baileys. Then he flashed into the alley with no one again, turned the 100 million Baileys into small cubes and put them away, and took off the cloak along the way. After that, he walked out of the alley quickly and went shopping leisurely. This world is too dangerous. Before you have absolute strength, it is better to do things quietly, otherwise you will easily cause a lot of trouble. No, Joe Lin saw a group of people surrounding the alley he had drilled just now. Unsurprisingly, it was a robbery. Maybe the auction house leaked the news, maybe these guys had a vicious eye. Anyway, Joe Lin avoided a trouble, and saved that Captain Ryan would find out when he came back. Joe Lin hastened to purchase some supplies, such as oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, melons, fruits and vegetables, which must be indispensable. Then turn the materials into small cubes and put them away where no one is paying attention. This cubic fruit is very convenient if it is well developed. Not only can it come and go freely, but it is also very easy to carry goods. As long as Joe Lin is strong enough, even if one day the whole island is turned into a cube, it will be fine. Devil fruit is very unsolvable and doesn't understand the laws of physics and chemistry. It depends on how you develop it. It's not easy to stay in Logue Town, because such a big situation happened in the reverse mountain. Marine will definitely send someone over, and if there is no accident, it should be that very fast and wretched man. So it is better to run quickly. Joe Lin first selected an island on the map with a compass, then went to the deserted coast, and flew away from Logue Town quickly. From the beginning to the end, no cubic fruit ability user was found in the entire Logue Town. At the same time, Kizaru, who had been working so hard, finally arrived at the Upside Down Mountain, and landed on Captain Ryan's warship. Captain Ryan was overjoyed. He didn't expect that Kizaru Vice Admiral would come out in person, so he quickly pointed to the big hole and reported to Kizaru again, feeling completely relieved. Kizaru looked at the big hole with interest in his eyes. Then let Ryan command the warship to go through the big hole again. Sure enough, as Ryan reported, this big hole is enough to walk two large warships at the same time, regardless of its width or water level depth. Moreover, many cubic rocks can be seen continuously in the cave. No doubt it is the work of cubic fruit ability users. So Kizaru reported the matter to Sengoku with a phone bug. Sengoku was also unambiguous, and immediately increased the arrest and hunt for the remnants of the walled pirates, striving to bring this group of people to justice as soon as possible. As for the big hole in Reversing Mountain, Marines can only be sent to guard it, and pirates cannot be allowed to pass through at will. This will undoubtedly increase the workload of Marines. But who is Sengoku? People are smart. The big hole is directly open to merchant ships. As long as they pay enough tolls, they are allowed to pass through. Moreover, the toll fee is not low, and it can be used as a military subsidy. This big hole channel is good, the boat is very stable, and it is dozens of times safer than letting the boat climb the mountain and pass the inverted mountain. As long as the merchants are not stupid, they will choose to take the big hole channel. After all, climbing the Reversing Mountain is really too dangerous. This is an obstacle between the four seas and the Grand Line. How many people have lost their boats while climbing the mountain? Compared with that danger, the toll is nothing. It is conceivable that when the news spread, the merchants and pirates in North Blue and South Blue would shed tears of envy. However, Joe Lin didn't know anything about it, and he arrived at the target island within a few days of flying alone at sea. There is a village on the island called Shimotsuki Village. Joe Lin's purpose in coming to Shimotsuki Village is simple, to wait for Dorag to arrive. In the early days of Doragola's formation of the Revolutionary Army, it can be said that there was a shortage of people, money, and food, and Shimotsuki Koshiro of Yixun Dojo in Shimotsuki Village would provide money and materials for the Revolutionary Army. So, just wait here. Of course, you can also tease the little green hair Zoro by the way. If possible, find a way to save Kuina. It is a pity that Kuina was well portrayed as a character, but he died early, just to fulfill Zoro's determination to become the world's #1 swordsman. One Kuina is better than 100 Odins, 10,000 times stronger than Momonosuke. I don't know what the author was thinking. Fortunately, Jolin was not in a bad mood at the time. First, he wandered around the village twice, and found that the village is really simple and honest, and it seems to be suitable for the elderly. After finding out the location of Yixin Dojo, he went straight to the dojo. At this time, in the Yixin Dojo, one after another shouted, accompanied by the sound of swinging wooden swords. It was the students in the dojo who were learning swords. The leader in front of the head is a little girl about 9 years old. She has a delicate appearance at a young age, but her eyes are very sharp. A wooden sword can hear the sound of breaking the air when it is swung. It is Kuina. In the team of students behind him, a little green hair is also trying to keep up with the rhythm of the leader. Who else but Zoro? This is what Jolin saw when he arrived at the Yixin Dojo. He didn't expect Zoro to come to the dojo to learn swordsmanship at such a young age, but it seems that the swordsmanship is still relatively new, and he didn't want to be a student for a long time. On the other hand, Kuina, with a few moves of swordsmanship, has become very powerful, and his swordsmanship may have surpassed that of ordinary adults. Sir, welcome to the Yixin Dojo. What can I do for you? Shimotsuki Koshiro, who was watching the students practice swords, said gently. It's nothing. Jolin also showed a friendly smile. I passed by Shimotsuki village when I was traveling. I heard that the Yixin Dojo is very famous, so I came to have a look. I don't know swordsmanship, so I just want to see it. Is it okay? There is nothing wrong with it, please feel free. Shimotsuki Koshiro is very talkative. As long as he doesn't cause damage, everything is fine. Jolin directly found a seat and sat down. Watching the students practicing swords, his eyes mainly fell on Zoro and Kuina. Whose family is the lead girl? Jolin asked knowingly. It's my daughter, named Kuina. Shimotsuki Koshiro kept smiling. The quality of swordsmanship is very good. His swordsmanship is extraordinary at a young age, and he will definitely be a great swordsman in the future. Mr. Praise. There is still a long time before Kuina grows up. It is too early to judge, but Kuina is indeed excellent and can inherit my mantle in the future. Shimotsuki Koshiro is humble, but also has pride in his eyes. Although he doesn't think Kuina can become the #1 in the world, he also thinks that Kuina has excellent qualifications and will definitely become a great swordsman in the future. At this time, the students' basic swordsmanship practice ended. Shimotsuki Koshiro immediately arranged a match. Zoro jumped out first. Kuina, I want to challenge you. Kuina looked cold. You have lost so many times, and you will lose if you challenge again. So what? I will not lose to you forever. Until I win you, I will keep challenging. Okay, then come on. Kuina admired Zoro's perseverance, so he did not refuse the challenge, and immediately put on a posture. Zoro held 2 wooden swords in his hands, and he put on a decent posture, then suddenly rushed towards Kuina, and the wooden sword also swept towards Kuina quickly. Kuina just took a step forward, and the wooden sword hit Zoro head on in the face. Zoro fell to the ground immediately. Zoro vs. Kuina, 0 wins and 100 losses. Shimotsuki Koshiro announced the result. HMPH. You're still a long way off. Kuina raised her wooden sword and turned around to get a towel to wipe off her sweat. The students laughed at Zoro one after another, but Zoro was not angry, but dissatisfied. Shimotsuki Koshiro still had that gentle smile, while Jolin clapped silently. These jokes. Zoro's students are just a bunch of cowards, not even brave enough to challenge Kuina. So Shimotsuki Koshiro did not want to focus on training these students, and Kuina actually looked down on these students in his heart, and Zoro had more weight in the hearts of Shimotsuki Koshiro and Kuina. Shimotsuki Koshiro valued Zoro not only because of Zoro's kendo aptitude, but also because of Zoro's background. But Kuina really appreciates Zoro, and the only person who is willing to challenge her persistently is Zoro. However, Kuina has not seen the threat of Zoro yet, because Zoro has not been in the dojo for a long time, and his growth has not been obvious, and it is not enough to make Kuina envious and afraid. Not long after, the dojo was dismissed. Jolin also bid farewell to Shimotsuki Koshiro, and turned to wander around the village. Unexpectedly, I saw Kuina practicing sword hard on a coast. So Jolin took out the jerky he just bought, and looked at it while eating. His gaze was so direct that Kuina stopped practicing, even a little uncomfortable. Sir, what's the matter? Kuina recognized Zhou Lin as the person who visited the ashram just now. Oh, it's nothing, just take a look. Zhou Lin said truthfully. Practicing swords is nothing to watch, and if you stare at me like this, it will be considered pervert. Well, I'm not interested in children. Zhou Lin had a thicker skin, and Kuina, you have to concentrate on practicing swords. You can't concentrate because I'm watching, so you're still far behind. Kuina didn't know how to refute for a while. Even if Zhou Lin didn't know swordsmanship, what he said was right. Concentration was very important for a swordsman. If he was disturbed just because he was being watched, it meant that this swordsman was nothing more than that. Kuina took a deep breath, bowed to Zhou Lin, turned around and continued practicing sword. This time, he really focused on nothing else, completely immersed in the practice, and didn't even notice when Zhou Lin left. Zhou Lin didn't look at it for a long time, and then wandered around the village again. Coincidentally, he saw Zoro, who was practicing sword again. This little green hair is now frantically beating the tree trunk with two swords like a lunatic, each sword is going all out. Although this practice method is messy, it really suits Zoro. After all, swordsmanship not only pays attention to skills, but also requires high strength. This kind of practice will make Zoro's strength grow rapidly. And Zoro also had no other focus, as if he only had eyes on the trunk. Even if he was very tired, he didn't stop hitting the trunk, unless the trunk was interrupted by him. Such concentration and perseverance are really invaluable to the young Zoro. Zhou Lin stayed in Shimotsuki village for a long time. During the day, I would visit the Yixin dojo, and then wander around the village to watch Kuina and Zoro practice. At night, they would dig holes in the ground, hide themselves, and absorb Sea King's physical cubes little by little. These physical cubes are specially stored by Zhou Lin. At the beginning, he thought that he might have to leave Reversing Mountain as soon as possible. In order not to delay the absorption of physical energy in the future, he chose to reserve more physical energy cubes. Sea Kings also suffered because of this, and they were killed by Zhou Lin. Zhou Lin alone now has more than 100 physical cubes stored, which is enough for Zhou Lin to absorb for a long time. And Sea Kings has countless meat cubes, and Zhou Lin specially uses cubes to insulate the air, which can keep the meat from spoiling for a long time, which is enough for Zhou Lin to eat for a long time. Anyway, Zhou Lin now has no worries about food and drink. Who would have thought that a person with empty hands would carry so much food on his body? Zhou Lin stayed in Shimotsuki village for a long time and became familiar with Kuina and Zoro. Especially Zoro. Sometimes he would have the cheek to ask Zhou Lin for meat, and said that he would teach Zhou Lin swordsmanship in return. Zhou Lin was very speechless towards this little green hair. He didn't expect Zoro to be such a bad fart when he was a child. Fortunately, Zhou Lin is more generous, so it's not a big problem to give some meat to a child. On the contrary, Kuina is very friendly to Zhou Lin and chats with Zhou Lin from time to time. Knowing that Zhou Lin is traveling everywhere, he asked about the situation on the sea. Zhou Lin was not stingy. He talked about pirates and marine to Kuina, and specifically named the big pirate Charlotte Linlin, because the aunt is a woman and she is also an extremely powerful swordsman. As Kuina grows older, she will gradually become aware of women's physical weaknesses. So Zhou Lin focused on the Big Mom. The purpose is not to let Kuina follow the Big Mom as a role model, but to let Kuina know that women can also become very strong swordsmen. That way, it won't hurt too much to hear Shimotsuki Koshiro say that women can't be number one day. In addition, Zhou Lin also talked about Hawkeye Mihawk. It seems that Hawkeye has not achieved the title of the world's #1 swordsman, and now he is just challenging all kinds of swordsmen everywhere, and has already gained a lot of fame. By the time the 7 Warlords of the Sea system is officially implemented, Hawkeye should already be #1 in the world. The more Kuina heard it, the more excited she became, and she wished she could go to sea to fight now. Fortunately, she is still calm, knowing that she is young and poor in swordsmanship, and now she only has to deliver food to the sea. But also because of this, Kuina worked harder when practicing sword. On this day, a mysterious big ship docked at the shore. A group of mysterious people in cloaks walked into the village of Shimotsuki and made a beeline for the Yixin dojo. Zhou Lin was not in a hurry when he heard the news, but walked slowly towards the dojo. As soon as he arrived at the gate of the dojo, he saw Shimotsuki Koshiro personally sending a few people out. It seems that after the business is over, someone is already moving the grain and grass. Although they were all wearing cloaks, Jolin recognized 3 of them. A tall figure with barriers on top of his cloak was Tyrant Bear. A half-man with a big face, purple hair and purple lips is Ivankov, the king of the Demon Kingdom. And the leading man with shoe prints on his face is Monkey D. Dorag. Jolin walked over directly, looked directly at Drago. I'm looking for you, I have something to talk about in private. Drago was taken aback for a moment, and couldn't help recalling that he was sure he didn't know this young man. Ivankov whispered, "Hey, boss, who is this little brother?" Drago shook his head, "I don't know." Then everyone looked at Shimotsuki Koshiro, and Shimotsuki Koshiro also shook his head. "This Mr. Jolin is a guest who has visited the dojo these days, and I am not familiar with it. It seems very mysterious, and I came here specially to wait for Drago." Everyone was vigilant and suspected that Jolin was a member of the CP organization, but they did not act rashly. Jolin turned around and left, but Drago was not afraid, first gave Ivankov a few words, and then followed Jolin directly. They didn't stop until they reached a place where no one was around. "What is your excellency Jolin looking for me?" Drago didn't want to waste time. Nature is a big deal. As Jolin spoke, he took out a small cube from his arms. The small cube became bigger and turned into a small suitcase. Jolin threw the small suitcase to Drago directly. Drago took it, with even more doubts on his face. "When I opened the small suitcase, I found stacks of Baileys. This is 100 million Baileys, which can be regarded as my support for you." Jolin said with a smile, "The formation of the Revolutionary Army needs funds. I am more optimistic about you, so I don't mind working with you." Drago narrowed his eyes. "Even the world government doesn't know about my formation of the Revolutionary Army. Where did the news come from, His Excellency Jolin? And I was surprised to find Shimotsuki village." "Your Excellency, just call me Jolin." "Okay, Jolin, what is your purpose?" "Purpose, of course, to destroy the celestial dragons and overthrow the world government." Quote. Drago didn't expect that Jolin would be so straightforward, but this was exactly the purpose of his formation of the Revolutionary Army. Let's not say whether Jolin's value is questionable, just say that the support of 100 million Baileys is very fragrant. So, tentatively as teammates. Then, the two chatted about ideas. Similar to what Jolin thought, Drago thought of forming a revolutionary army because he saw the root of evil in the world. Just now is the era of the great pirates, and the marine and world government have been torn apart by the pirates, giving the revolutionary army huge room for development. Fishing in troubled waters, Drago knows how to seize opportunities. Celestial dragons are the root of all evil. World government has been corrupt since its establishment. Marine has been a tool of celestial dragons and world government since its establishment. In order to prevent people in this world from being exploited and oppressed, someone must stand up, raise the banner of resistance. Drago's eyes were sharp, showing his determination. Jolin nodded again and again in agreement. "That's right. That's why I asked you to cooperate. Wherever there is oppression, there is resistance. Once the fire of revolution is ignited, it will turn into a raging flame, and no one can stop it." Quote. "Ha ha ha, that's a good point. The world government is just like Kuchiki, and our revolutionary fire will only get stronger and stronger. So, is your team pulling up now?" "Ah, cough cough, don't you know? Now the team is being formed. There is a shortage of people, money, and food. The 100 million belly you support is a huge sum of money. The most important thing is the lack of arms and weapons. Without weapons, there is no way to revolt." There was a little more embarrassment in Drago's eyes, and the initial stage of team formation was indeed full of difficulties. Jolin can naturally guess such a situation. Asking this question is not intentionally teasing. After thinking about it, he took out 50 small cubes. "Here is the meat of 50 sea kings. It can be kept fresh for a long time. You can crush the cubes when needed. As long as I don't die, the cubes won't be released automatically." "Cube, are you the one who dug through the upside-down mountain in the news?" Dorag fully confirmed Jolin's identity. Jolin was speechless. It seems that he was not called a talent in the news. "Who started to spread the title?" Drago took the cube with a happy face, showing gratitude on his face. Thank you for your great support. Since you are also a like-minded friend, I will not be polite to you. 100 million Baileys and 50 Sea Kings, enough to last us a long time. Zhou Lin said. I will continue to collect money and materials for you, and I will also find a way to solve the weapon problem. Huh, Zhou Lin, don't you come with us? No, we still act separately, and try not to expose my relationship with the Revolutionary Army, so that it will be more convenient for me to support you. Quote. Well, I respect your decision. But if you encounter difficulties, you must tell me, and I will take action if necessary. Drago took out a phone bug and handed it to Zhou Lin with an unquestionable tone. Zhou Lin didn't refuse either, and solemnly put away the phone bug. The two chatted a few more words, but Drago couldn't stay longer, so he hurriedly said goodbye and left. Not long after, the mysterious big ship sailed away. On the big boat, Drago looked at the island of Shimotsky village, and couldn't help but smile. Although the road will be difficult, he believes that there will be more like-minded friends. As Zhou Lin said, once the fire of revolution is ignited, it will turn into a raging flame one day. Hey, Drago, it seems that you are very happy. That little brother brought you good news. Ivankov approached with a big face. It does bring good news, we have a reliable friend. Drago couldn't help but enlarge his smile. After the ship left, Zhou Lin also went to Yixin Dojo to say goodbye. Shimotsky Koshiro took a deep look at Zhou Lin, didn't ask after all, but still kept that smile, wishing Zhou Lin a pleasant journey. Zoro is not very happy because his meal ticket is going away. Zhou Lin didn't bother to care about the little green hair, but told Kuina, you may feel that women's physical fitness is weaker than men in the future, but don't be depressed because this sea is magical, and there are too many ways to solve it. This weakness. In addition, the attic of your house is too high and has been in disrepair for a long time, so don't put the whetstone there, it's very dangerous. Kuina didn't know why, but nodded solemnly. Although we haven't been together for a long time, Kuina has already regarded Zhou Lin as a friend. She has learned a lot from Zhou Lin and the vastness of the sea. Therefore, she chose to follow Zhou Lin's advice. Zhou Lin was satisfied now. Although there were still 2 years before Kuina fell to his death from the attic, Zhou Lin could not prevent Kuina's death now, but he could warn him in advance. I believe the butterfly wings can play a role. However, if Kuina is still going to die, it can only be said that the world is too bad. Zhou Lin immediately turned around and left without looking back. At the end, he said, Kuina, Zoro, I'm waiting for you on the sea, we will meet again one day. Then we have an appointment. Kuina replied subconsciously. Zhou Lin, I said that I will teach you swordsmanship. When I learn something, I will definitely go to you. Zoro couldn't help shouting. However, Zhou Lin had already gone far away, and quickly found a hidden corner, and flew out of the island on a cube. Although it is said that there are Luffy, Sabo, Ace, Usopp, Nami and others on the East Blue side who can go and meet, but Zhou Lin has no such plan. His current actions are all targeted, and there is no need to meet these children. East Blue should be fine. Let's go to other sea areas first, maybe there will be something to gain. Thinking about it, Zhou Lin immediately flew in the direction of Red Line. He wanted to fly over Red Line to North Blue to have a look. There's Germa 66 and Doflamingo in North Blue, maybe a good place to get ammunition. After making up his mind, Zhou Lin accelerated his flight speed. On the other hand, Kizaru personally took action and easily arrested the remnants of the walled pirates. Marine really wants to deal with a certain pirate group with all his heart, so unless this pirate group is very strong, or has heaven-defying luck, it will definitely be finished. Obviously, the walled pirates have no strength and no luck. It's just that Kizaru failed to find Garam, who has the cube fruit ability, and interrogated the remnants of the walled pirates. The answer was that Garam had left the group for many days and hadn't returned. At this time, the intelligence capabilities of the CP organization came to the fore. People from the CP organization investigated Garam's trajectory, locked on the desert island where Garam might go, and dug 3 feet on a desert island with square logs, and finally found Garam's body and weapons. And leftover cube fruit. Oh, that is to say, the cubic fruit ability user has changed. Sengoku is not very surprised. It seems that we have wasted all our efforts. This matter has nothing to do with the walled pirates. Let the CP people continue to investigate and find out who the new cubic fruit ability is as soon as possible. Now where is it and what is it doing? At this time, Zhou Lin stopped at the coast below the red line. This location is far away from Upside Down Mountain, so it will not be discovered by the Marine of Logue Town, and there are no islands or towns nearby, so it is very secretive. Fly over the top of the mountain to reach North Blue. But while the red line is huge, it's largely uninhabited. The reason is that the geographical location is too high. Not only the terrain is steep, but also the environment is harsh, which is not very suitable for people to live in. In comparison, islands in the sea are more suitable for living. In addition, the red line belongs to the celestial dragons and the world government, and no one can settle without special permission. Only Mariajoy, which is the closest to Marineford, is located on the red line, but it is also located in a livable location, and its high location also symbolizes the status of celestial dragons. This is convenient for Zhou Lin to make trouble. Since there is no one above, he will not be disturbed if he digs casually below. This was Zhou Lin's temporary thought. Since the inverted mountain can be dug through, so can it be done here. Although the thickness of the continent here is several times thicker than that of the Upside Down Mountain, this is not a problem for Zhou Lin. It just so happens that the marine search is tight recently, and Zhou Lin also needs more time to absorb the Sea King's physical cubes, so it's good to continue digging the mountain. Unexpectedly, this digging took a month. The hole dug this time is larger than the previous one, enough for 3 large warships to pass through. Maybe it's because the strength has increased, or maybe the fruit ability has become more proficient, but in short, it didn't take as much time as last time. If it is not necessary to take into account the cultivation, it will definitely take less time, probably 6 or 7 days. Zhou Lin silently removed the heavy rock armor on his body. Now he can decompose items into small cubes that are invisible to the naked eye, and then arrange and combine them to create many things. Armor is just one of them, which is quite similar to the combined fruit. Every time the Sea King's physical energy cube is integrated into the body, in order to absorb the external physical energy faster, Zhou Lin will carry out weight training. In this way, he can only use his ability to build heavy armor for himself, and this heavy armor is getting bigger and bigger. Now he can easily equip heavy rock armor tens of meters high, which is equivalent to walking with a warship on his shoulders. The method is relatively stupid, but it is very effective. And this also shows that Zhou Lin's strength is already very perverted. As for how far he has reached, Zhou Lin doesn't have an intuitive concept. He may only be able to evaluate his own strength when he actually fights against a strong enemy. In front of you is the Endless Sea, which is the destination of this trip, North Blue. Zhou Lin took out his phone bug and dialed it. Moses, Zhou Lin, have you encountered any difficulties? Drago answered immediately. Dorag, I dug through the red line between East Blue and North Blue. Zhou Lin said with a smile. Are you idle and have nothing to do? How come? I'm serious. I really opened the passage between East Blue and North Blue, but I blocked the openings on both sides. Now I will tell you the positions of the openings on both sides. You can record them on the chart for future reference. The emergency passage. If you need to use it, you just need to find a place and smash the hole. Well, I'll just treat you as a rainy day. Drago also instantly understood Zhou Lin's thoughts. Perhaps Zhou Lin was inspired by digging through the inverted mountain last time, which led to this digging operation. Although the revolutionary movement has not yet started, the struggle against the world government will definitely move around in the future, and maybe the secret passage will really be used by then. Therefore, Zhou Lin's approach is not useless, but it is not used now. Also, I'm in North Blue now. You provided me with information about Germa 66 and Don Quixote pirates. I want to get some ammunition from them. Zhou Lin finally got down to business. Oh, you can have this. Drago's eyes lit up. Indeed, Germa 66 and the Don Quixote pirates are having a lot of fun in North Blue right now. The technology of Germa 66 is very enviable, and the Don Quixote pirates seem to be in the arms business. It would be best to get arms from these two forces. Moreover, Zhou Lin's mysterious origin will not reveal the existence of the Revolutionary Army, and he also has the ability to carry materials conveniently. No one is more convenient than Zhou Lin to engage in arms. Drago didn't keep Jolin waiting too long, and activated all his intelligence capabilities, and informed Jolin of all the information he could gather for the time being, and he would notify him in time if there was any information in the future. Jolin consolidated the information and selected the next location, Cayenne Island. Because Jolin suddenly remembered that it is about to enter Sea Circle calendar 1509, and something will happen in North Blue, that is, the competition for Ope Ope fruit. The incident took place on Mignon Island, east of Cayenne Island. Regardless of whether the ammunition is available or not, this Ope Ope fruit is impossible to miss. I'm sorry Luo, but this Ope Ope fruit is impossible to let go. At worst, you can try to use the cube fruit ability to separate the pain in Luo's body into cubes. If it doesn't work, let the bear use the ability of the meatball fruit to pop out the pain. If it doesn't work anymore, let the person who ate the Ope Ope fruit heal Luo. Anyway, Ope Ope fruit still has to be snatched. If this fruit falls into the hands of the Revolutionary Army, it will definitely play a big role. At least it can greatly reduce the number of casualties during the uprising. Jolin didn't hesitate, and started to fly to the nearest island. It didn't take long to come across a small island with a town. Jolin quickly and quietly landed on the island, and then naturally appeared in the small town. First, I bought a map of North Blue, and determined the locations of Cayenne Island, Mignon Island, Speedamails and other islands. Among them, the Don Quixote Pirates station in North Blue is in Speedamails, dump. Plus, buy a few more copies of the North Blue newspaper. Although Morgan's has a lot of news channels, this guy is obsessed with making things happen, so most of the reports are big events. And the small things in each sea area are reported by the newspapers in each sea area. Small local small news can be regarded as some traffic, and these small news can also provide a lot of information. For example, 2 days ago, there was a pirate gang fight. The reporter who wrote this report was really able to dig into the inside story of the incident, and directly revealed the reason. It turned out that there were other pirates robbing the Don Quixote Pirates business, so the Sea Rogue Doflamingo personally took action and took the Sea Rogue. The bandits were wiped out. Doflamingo's name in the North Blue is not small, and the North Blue people will naturally focus on it. However, it is not the first time that the Don Quixote Pirates have done this kind of thing, so the North Blue people are used to it, and only the marine side will be more nervous. Jolin focused on the word, business. Doflamingo prefers to engage in underground transactions, so the business is generally arms, human trafficking, drug dealing, etc. As long as it can make a lot of money, Doflamingo will do it. As for what harm it will cause, Doflamingo doesn't care. Doflamingo would be happier if there was chaos and war in the world, which would make his business better. In addition, there are other news, such as which island Germa 66 will conquer and what new weapons will be used, etc. Anyway, it is active enough. Although the kingdom of Germa has lost its former glory, it was once the overlord of the North Blue, and the North Blue people are used to being afraid. So I am very concerned about the movement of Germa 66. So, how can I get arms and supplies from these two forces without giving money or exposing my existence? Jolin couldn't help thinking. I don't want to give money because the money has already been given to Dorag. Of course, if you don't want to be exposed, you want to snatch the Ope Ope fruit by surprise. It's just that these two forces are not weak, and Jolin's current strength may not be able to do it, so he can only choose to outsmart, not act recklessly. The only advantage now is that the other party doesn't know that Jolin is playing with them. So Jolin actually has many loopholes to exploit. For example, Virgo. Chapter 11. Virgo should have gone undercover in Marine. It would be wonderful to let some old lady from North Blue know about it. Jolin quickly found another remote place, took out the phone bug again and contacted Drago. It didn't take long for a message to reach Crane Vice Admiral's ears. Crane Vice Admiral was furious. Crane Vice Admiral was born in North Blue, but since he became Vice Admiral in Naval Headquarters, he doesn't pay much attention to North Blue, but he will take care of his hometown as much as possible. Suru Vice Admiral is annoyed that North Blue has a notorious Don Quixote pirate. However, Crane Vice Admiral did not personally deal with the Don Quixote pirates, but only pays attention occasionally. After all, as a senior Marine, it is impossible to hope that a big pirate will come out of his hometown. I just didn't expect that Doflamingo's hand stretched so long. Well, I won't touch you, but you put your hand into the marine, it's unbearable. However, Suru Vice Admiral did not act rashly, and went directly to Sengoku for a secret talk. Suru Vice Admiral knew about the fact that Sengoku's adopted son Rocinante was undercover in the Don Quixote pirates, and also knew that Doflamingo had a special status, so it was impossible to hide this matter from Sengoku. And Sengoku was also furious when he learned that Virgo was an undercover agent. Virgo joined Marine last year, and because he looks very loyal and powerful, he has been noticed by Sengoku. Sengoku was very pleased at first, and wanted to find an opportunity to promote Virgo, but he didn't expect that Virgo was actually an undercover agent sent by Doflamingo. However, this piece of information somehow got into the hands of Crane Vice Admiral, and the source could not be found at all. So Sengoku and Suru Vice Admiral were cautious and didn't believe it right away. But once the seeds of doubt are planted, they will naturally be careful to guard against them, and in fact, the two of them have already believed 80% of them. Virgo has only been in the army for a short time, and his current position is also low. It can be said that he is an insignificant role. No one would be idle and bored, and pass a note to he Vice Admiral in order to bring down an ordinary small officer. Therefore, there is a great possibility that this piece of information is true. In response to this matter, Sengoku and Crane Vice Admiral began a secret investigation. However, the two still underestimated Doflamingo's intelligence capabilities, and Doflamingo noticed it as soon as the investigation started. At this time, in a warehouse at the Speedomale's garbage dump, Doflamingo took a bottle of red wine and poured it into his mouth, and then he was out of breath and smashed the bottle to the ground. The wine bottle exploded, and the red wine flowed all over the floor, as if blood was spreading. What the hell is going on? Why did Sengoku and Suru suddenly investigate Virgo? Doflamingo's eyes were full of fear. Not to mention Sengoku, just Suru Vice Admiral, let Doflamingo can't help being afraid. Crane Vice Admiral was born in North Blue and became the chief advisor of Naval Headquarters. He is not only superior in wisdom, but also super powerful. He is the pride of North Blue people and the object of fear of all North Blue pirates. Doflamingo is naturally one of them. Even if he hadn't confronted Crane Vice Admiral, it didn't prevent Doflamingo from being afraid. Whoever is sick will not be afraid of that old lady. Now, not only Crane Vice Admiral has started to investigate Vigo, but even Sengoku, the world-famous the resourceful general, is also investigating. Doflamingo has to panic, but Virgo's undercover agent is obviously very secretive. How did he expose it? The snot-nosed man Torebel hurriedly said, "Dover, calm down, Virgo hasn't been fully exposed yet." Doflamingo took a deep breath. That's right, as long as the investigation is over, Virgo can continue to undercover. But since Sengoku and Crane have doubts, maybe they won't reuse Virgo in the future. A person who is not reused will not be a good undercover agent. Fortunately, Virgo has not been in Marine for a long time, and he can come back anytime. It's just that Virgo's year-long efforts may be in vain. Thinking of this, Doflamingo became angry again. Who is leaking the secret? I must find out this person and torture him to death. As he spoke, he thought of his younger brother Rocinante. Something was wrong with Rocinante, and he even took that kid suffering from platinum lead disease to seek medical treatment. Rocinante had been abusing Luo when Luo that kid came here. How could he be so kind now? So, his good brother may have some ulterior secrets. Like, Marine undercover. Doflamingo guessed this, and couldn't help feeling ruthless. What he hates the most is betrayal, even if this person is his relative. When he killed his father with his own hands, it was because of his father's stupidity that he killed the whole family. He has been reduced from a high-ranking celestial dragon to a dirty pirate. If Rocinante is really a traitor, then as an older brother, he wouldn't mind giving his younger brother another ride. But Zhou Lin, the culprit of this incident, ate a big meal comfortably in a small town, and then found a clean hotel to stay in, waiting for the changes in North Blue. After another 10 days, Virgo was finally exposed. Although Doflamingo tried his best to cope with Sengoku's investigation of Virgo, he made many mistakes. The resourceful General Sengoku easily discovered Doflamingo's revealing feat and successfully determined Virgo's undercover identity. Originally, Sengoku and Crane Vice Admiral wanted to use Virgo to deliver some fake news, but Virgo was very sensitive and ran away when he realized that something was wrong. Crane Vice Admiral got angry, and directly drove a warship to hunt him down. This chase led to North Blue. Doflamingo didn't want to lose Virgo, a titan, so he gathered the cadres of the Don Quixote pirates and prepared to meet Virgo. The news of a series of events also passed from Dorag to Jolin's ears. "It's finally time, watch me dig out Doflamingo's lair." Jolin smiled and put on a cloak for himself, and put on a mask by the way, and then flew towards Speedamel's on the cube. The distance from Speedamel's was not far away, and Jolin arrived soon, and quietly lurked near the garbage dump, and successfully approached the back of a huge warehouse. The gate of the warehouse is guarded by Pika himself. As a cadre, this guy didn't go with Doflamingo to meet Virgo. And personally guarding this huge warehouse, so there must be important supplies in the warehouse, most likely arms. There are quite a few miscellaneous soldiers stationed in the junkyard, and there are also young Buffalo and BABY5, but they are not a threat. But Jolin didn't want to fight Pika, but wanted to take away all the supplies quietly. So, he used his fruit ability to quietly open a door on the warehouse wall. This warehouse is still a huge stone and steel structure, and it cannot be easily destroyed by brute force, but it is like tofu in the face of the cubic fruit ability. As soon as the door was opened, a strong smell of gunpowder rushed over. However, Jolin forgot that Pika is a stone fruit capable person. Although he is only guarding in front of the warehouse gate, he can sense the changes in the nearby rocks. So when the warehouse was opened, it immediately attracted Pika's attention. How dare you come here to make an idea of our Don Quixote family warehouse? I think you are tired of living. Pika's shrill voice made Jolin almost unable to hold back his laughter. However, Jolin jumped into the warehouse while Pika was speaking, and quickly touched boxes of supplies, only to see that these supplies turned into small cubes and flew into Jolin's hands on the spot. In less than 2 seconds, the warehouse was empty. And Pika's head just got out of the ground, and he was stunned to see the warehouse that was emptied in an instant. However, Pika came quickly and successfully saw the process of the last box of supplies turning into cubes and flying into Jolin's hands. He immediately guessed Jolin's identity and became furious on the spot. "So you are the rumored cube fruit power user. I want you to die." The Pikas didn't talk too much, and immediately manipulated the warehouse rocks to surround Jolin, trying to trap Jolin to death in the warehouse. And Jolin directly reached out and pressed against the wall, instantly turning the warehouse wall into a pile of cubes, and instantly jumped out of the warehouse. Seeing this, the miscellaneous soldiers rushed forward, but were thrown flying by Jolin's control cube. Where to go? Pika was so furious that he stepped hard and got behind Jolin. The huge fist hit Jolin's back, and the powerful punch directly caused a sonic boom, which shocked Jolin. Jolin had no choice but to turn around and block with both hands. To be on the safe side, he also covered his arms with many stored rock cubes to take Pika's blow with all his strength. The next second, bang! With a loud noise, all the rock blocks covering Jolin's arms exploded. Pika's fist also hit Jolin's arm smoothly, the terrifying force shook the rock debris, and the surrounding garbage was swept everywhere by the violent fist wind. Jolin tilted his head. He was a little surprised, because he saw that Pika's punch was at least 90% of his strength. But when the punch shattered the rock block and landed on his arm, he felt very light, and his body only shook a bit, because he didn't stand up in a hurry. So, Pika's punch was lonely. Pika was also stunned for a moment, thinking he was hallucinating. Then another fist raised up and hit it hard again. This time, Jolin didn't use rock cubes to defend, but tried to raise his palm to catch Pika's huge fist. There was a bang, and Pika really tried his best with this punch, even using armament hockey, but there was only a dull sound in Jolin's palm. Jolin was not knocked into the air, not even shaken. Now Jolin understood that Pika was not as strong as it was more than 10 years later, and even armament hockey had just awakened not long ago. As for Jolin's physical strength of more than a dozen Sea Kings, the pure physical strength has long been beyond imagination, at least not something that Pika's current weak chicken can shake. That being the case, what is there to be afraid of? So Jolin raised his fist and hit Pika in the stomach. Pika's eyes bulged, She clutched her stomach in pain and was speechless for a long time, and then fainted gorgeously. Punch. One punch brought down Doflamingo's #1 officer. The miscellaneous fishes, Buffalo, and Baby 5 were all frightened, and quickly turned around and ran away. Fortunately, Zhou Lin didn't chase after it, but stretched out his hand to hold Pika, turning Pika into a small cube and put it away. Then he didn't stay long, and immediately flew away on the cube. Goal. Red line. Zhou Lin knew that he had become very strong, but he didn't know the strength of Doflamingo, so he avoided the edge for the time being. The red line is the safest. As long as you dig a deep hole and hide in it, basically no one will find it. And just caught Pika. You can decompose Pika's physical energy, devil fruit and hockey into cubes, and both physical energy cubes and hockey cubes can be integrated into the body. Zhou Lin is looking forward to hockey's power. As soon as Zhou Lin left, Buffalo and Baby 5 called to inform Doflamingo. Doflamingo was furious. Before he received Virgo, his home was stolen. Not only was there no supplies in the big warehouse, but Pika was also kidnapped. And Doflamingo also knows who the burglar is. Cubic fruit ability user. No matter who you are, you dare to hurt my family and rob my supplies, I will never let you go, I swear by Doflamingo. Ah! Doflamingo roared angrily, wishing to tear Zhou Lin to pieces. But now it looks like he is incompetent and furious, because he doesn't even know the name and appearance of the house thief, and he doesn't know who to turn to for revenge. Torebel quickly persuaded. Dover, calm down. The most important thing for us now is to bring Virgo back. We can't lose any more. Doflamingo forced himself to calm down. You were right, let's speed up and bring Virgo back. On the other side, Crane Vice Admiral, who was chasing Virgo, also received the news, couldn't help being shocked for a while, and then contacted Sengoku to inform the news. Cubic fruit ability users ran to North Blue, and took the opportunity to sneak attack on Doflamingo's lair. Sengoku couldn't help being confused too. This cubic fruit capable person is really capable of causing trouble. He suddenly dug through the upside-down mountain before, and Marine hasn't found out his true identity yet, so now he's making trouble again. And I still ran to North Blue, always feeling like a hammer here and there, completely confused. But this time it did a good job. Doflamingo must be in a state of dismay after being stolen. If he can take the opportunity to wipe out the Don Quixote pirates, North Blue may be much more stable. So Sengoku quickly told Crane Vice Admiral to eliminate the Don Quixote pirates as much as possible. Crane Vice Admiral promised again and again, but Sengoku didn't need to remind him. He must also know that this is a good opportunity with his mind, so he will not let it go. He Vice Admiral is more than happy to win Doflamingo in exchange for a long period of peace for the North Blue. Speed up, let's arrest Virgo first, then wipe out the Don Quixote pirates in one fell swoop. Crane Vice Admiral gave an order, and the warship immediately accelerated. On the deck of the warship, Guillaume commanded with a calm face. Guillaume is now over 30 years old, so it can be said that he is not young. However, being in his 30s does not hinder Guillaume's youthful beauty, and it is even more charming, which is enough to fascinate many men, but Guillaume himself has high requirements and basically does not catch the eye. Coupled with the crazy pursuit of the T-Dolphin's family fortune, the other Marines had to choose to give up. At this time, the sharp-eyed Guillaume saw a small boat ahead. A person in the boat was paddling desperately. It was Virgo who was fleeing. In front of the boat, the pirate ship of the Don Quixote pirates was approaching crazily, and Doflamingo standing on the bow couldn't wait to use his fruit ability to fly towards Virgo. Can't let Doflamingo get his way. You report to Vice Admiral, I'll stop Doflamingo. As Guillaume said, he immediately jumped onto the bow of the boat, drew out the big sharp sword Kimpura, and went straight to Doflamingo with a huge slash. Although the current Guillaume is not as strong as Admiral's alternate strength more than 10 years later, it is now a proper Vice Admiral's combat power. This slash also engulfed armament hockey, and the sea was torn apart, which was very terrifying. Dover, young master. Torebel and the others turned pale with shock. Doflamingo's complexion also changed, and he quickly shot out a silk thread to entangle another cloud, swinging to the side. The huge slash swept across the trousers. If it was slower, not only would it be missing legs, but it might even kill her. This old sister of Crane Vice Admiral is really terrifying. And Guion took advantage of this opportunity to step on Moonwalk and rush towards Virgo. Young master, hurry up. Leave me alone. Virgo is still very loyal. If there is a chance to run away, he will definitely fight for it. But now Crane Vice Admiral has caught up. If it continues to delay, the Don Quixote family will definitely be wiped out. This is what Virgo doesn't want to see. So he told Doflamingo and the others to go, and he turned to face Guion. Take a bamboo stick, wrap all the hockey at once, and sweep towards Guion with a move of ghost bamboo. But Guion is not a weak chicken. Jinpyra slashed in the air again, just right on the bamboo stick. There was only a sound of dang, and the strong force directly shook the bamboo stick away. Virgo also fell heavily on the boat, actually directly smashing the boat into two halves. Don't hurt my family. Doflamingo had arrived by this time and kicked out Leg Shave String, forcing Guion to return to defense. Although Doflamingo hasn't gone to the Grand Line yet, he has many connections in the underground world and has learned many ways to become stronger, and hockey is one of them. In addition, he has actively developed fruit abilities since he was a child, and his current strength is not weaker than ordinary Vice Admiral. You can still deal with Guion. But Guion unhurriedly used his swordsmanship and fought with Doflamingo in midair. Although he didn't take Doflamingo down in an instant, Doflamingo didn't want to leave either. Virgo grabbed the cracked boat and shouted, "Young master, go away. Don't be entangled by her." Doflamingo didn't care. "I won't go. I won't leave my family behind. Young master, Crane Vice Admiral is here. If you don't leave, it will be too late. I, Virgo, feel very honored to be part of the young master's family in this life. Only in the next life can I repay the young master's kindness. Young master, please go." Doflamingo did not speak, and continued to deal with Guion. The pirate ship also approached quickly, and Torrebel and Diamandi tried to take the opportunity to rescue Virgo. But how can a pirate ship be faster than a warship? The warship was already approaching, and the old lady he Vice Admiral was already standing majestically on the bow, as if she was thinking about how to seize the opportunity to take down Doflamingo. Virgo gritted his teeth and leapt into the air from the sea, successfully blocking between Doflamingo and Guion. Young master, let's go. With one hand, he pushed Doflamingo back, and with the other hand, he grabbed Kimpiro forcefully. For a moment, that hand was dripping with blood. If it wasn't for armament hockey, it would probably be cut off directly. Virgo, Doflamingo roared, but suddenly a mass of mucus was entangled around his waist, and Torrebel pulled him back to the pirate ship with force. Torrebel, let me go. I want to save Virgo. Doflamingo struggled. Dover, this is Virgo's choice, we must leave immediately. Torrebel disobeyed the order. Go quickly, use the current to throw off the warship. Diamandi and the others quickly controlled the pirate ship and turned around quickly. And Doflamingo just looked at Virgo, sitting on the deck and growling impotently. Regardless of whether Doflamingo is acting or not, everyone on the pirate ship couldn't help feeling sad because of his appearance. Virgo was one of the first to follow Doflamingo. He is loyal to Doflamingo and has extraordinary strength. The Don Quixote family relies on Virgo in many places. However, now that the important minister of the family is about to die, even if Doflamingo is cold-blooded, he can't help but feel heartbroken. This will make his hegemony plan even more difficult. HMPH. You mere pirate, don't be hypocritical. Crane Vice Admiral mercilessly exposed Doflamingo's false face, and then suddenly activated the fruit washing ability. Virgo stopped resisting immediately, and was refreshed to dry like a piece of clothing. But Doflamingo stared at Crane Vice Admiral, his eyes under the glasses burst out with a murderous look. Crane Vice Admiral is not afraid, keep chasing, bombarding and chasing at the same time. The sailors immediately took orders and started bombarding and speeding up, scaring the Don Quixote family into frantic escape with their tails between their legs, like a bereaved dog. Crane Vice Admiral is famous, who is not afraid of North Blue. To be hunted down by Crane Vice Admiral himself would make the Don Quixote family smile. Doflamingo roared helplessly again, "Ah! Crane, Mamasigi, Cube Fruit Power User. I, Doflamingo, will not let you go. I swear." At this time, Jolin, the culprit, was flying towards Red Line. This steel is specially designed. Although he will also grab Ope Ope fruit later, it does not prevent him from shooting Doflamingo's arms. Instead of letting Doflamingo continue to carry out dirty transactions with this batch of arms, it is better to contribute to the Revolutionary Army uprising, which will also increase the value of this batch of arms. But this time stealing the house was so successful, it also surprised Zhou Lin. Thinking about it carefully, it seems natural. After all, neither Doflamingo nor Marine expected a third person to be planning. Starting from the leak of Virgo's undercover identity, the plan has already begun. However, Zhou Lin didn't expect he Vice Admiral to move so fast, and Virgo ran away in fright. Whether Doflamingo was really anxious or was acting in front of his subordinates, he took someone to confront he Vice Admiral anyway. This gave Zhou Lin an opportunity. What Zhou Lin didn't expect was that there were so many ammunition in the Don Quixote pirate station. Originally, I just wanted to try my luck, but now it seems that luck is too good. Once you have the ammunition, first hide and absorb Pika's cubes, and then give the ammunition to Dorag after the incident subsides. Next, let's make an idea of Germa 66. Zhou Lin soon flew to the red line again. Then he dug a hole decisively, sealed himself in the cave, and then contacted Drago. I've heard it all, and you're really messed up. Drago is obviously in a good mood. Don Quixote Pirate's garrison has a lot of ammunition, right? Are you in danger now? Do you need me to go to your place? Zhou Lin resolutely refused. Not for the time being, I've already hidden, so I won't be found. North Blue must be a bit messy now. Let's calm down for a while, and I'll contact you to meet after the limelight passes. Well, the uprising hasn't started yet, and we don't need ammunition for the time being. Be careful yourself, and contact me immediately if you encounter danger. Okay, I'm afraid of death, I won't make fun of my own life. Zhou Lin chatted with Drago for a few words, and quickly hung up the phone bug. As for what North Blue is like now, Zhou Lin didn't care about it for the time being. Taking out Pika's cube, Zhou Lin immediately used the ability. I saw that Pika's cube continued to glow under the effect of the ability, and then began to decompose into different cubes. There are a lot of stamina cubes, body cubes, memory cubes, skill cubes, hockey cubes and devil fruit black cubes, but Zhou Lin can recognize them all. And because it has been done many times, the operation is very smooth. Pika's body was also completely broken down into small cubes, and she couldn't die anymore. But Zhou Lin is indifferent to this. Pika is a pirate and has done all the dirty things with Doflamingo. No matter what sympathetic past he has, it doesn't prevent him from being killed. At this time, Zhou Lin held up the hockey cube, and the corner of his mouth grinned. Hockey cube, disassemble. The fruit ability is activated, and the hockey cube is slowly decomposed into small cubes, and the division becomes smaller and smaller until it becomes small cube particles that are invisible to the naked eye. Zhou Lin took a deep breath and began to integrate the hockey cube into his body. Everyone can use hockey, it depends on whether they have learned how to use it, and when the hockey cube particles enter the body, Zhou Lin does not feel any discomfort. In addition to excitement, what I feel the most is strength. Hockey's power is very strong, much stronger than pure physical destructive power, so hockey is the standard equipment for the real strong. Now, Zhou Lin's own hockey has also begun to awaken. It didn't take long for the hockey cube to be fully integrated into the body. Zhou Lin tried to condense hockey's power, only to feel a mass of power covering his hands, and then he lightly touched the rock beside him with his fist, and the rock exploded with a bang. Well, not bad, it really is hockey. Zhou Lin was very satisfied with this, but it was a pity that Pika seemed to have only learned armament hockey, without any knowledge, which greatly reduced Zhou Lin's original happiness. But it's not bad, at least now there is no need to be afraid of Logia fruit ability users. As for observation hockey, look for hunting targets later. Zhou Lin turned his attention to the skill block again. This block contains Pika's swordsmanship and various combat experience. As long as this block is absorbed, Zhou Lin's strength will be improved to a higher level. Although he gained great strength by absorbing the Sea King's stamina cubes before, it was nothing more than brute strength, and his combat experience was basically zero. If it wasn't for Pika standing there in a daze for him to fight, he probably wouldn't have killed Pika so quickly. Only when you learn how to use brute force to fight can you be truly powerful. Zhou Lin is not in a hurry, he continues to familiarize himself with the use of armament hockey, and he needs to eat food one bite at a time. Moreover, the absorption of this skill cube is different from the absorption of other cubes. The skill cube must be integrated into the mind. This is related to the soul and memory. It may be dangerous to try rashly, so it is better to be careful. In this way, armament hockey, who has been used for 2 days, can finally use the armed color as he likes. Then, Zhou Lin picked up the skill cube. Still break down the cube into particles according to the old method, and then start to use the ability to control your own brain and soul, imagining that your soul is also a cube. This is how the skill cube particles are integrated into the soul cube. When the skill cube particles merged into the soul, Zhou Lin felt the tingling of the soul. After all, it was the invasion of foreign substances. Even if the owner of the soul took the initiative to do it, the soul would subconsciously reject it. Fortunately, Zhou Lin took the initiative and blended in very slowly, so no harm was done. I don't know how long it has passed, all the skill cube particles have been integrated into the soul, and Zhou Lin has also begun to absorb skills such as swordsmanship, fists and even hockey combat experience, making the skills gradually integrated into his memory. 3 days passed in a flash. Zhou Lin woke up tired, and quickly took out food to replenish energy, and then he was completely relieved. Finally, the fusion and absorption of the cubes has been completed, but the operation related to the soul is still too dangerous and too hard. Zhou Lin has to be cautious, and if there is a slight mistake, it may be lost. I'm also bold enough to dare to mess around with this kind of operation. However, as the so-called wealth and wealth come from danger, if I don't have any sense of adventure, how can I become stronger quickly? Compared to the method of gaining experience by fighting monsters like Kaido and Big Mom, my method is much gentler and requires much less talent and time. If nothing else happens, I can already do Doflamingo. Zhou Lin began to judge his own strength. Now it's not 2 years after the plot started, and Doflamingo is not that strong yet, so it's not as scary as it seems. And Zhou Lin absorbed the physical cubes of more than a dozen Sea Kings, perhaps equivalent to the strength of more than a dozen Sea Kings in one body, and the pure physical strength alone could probably sink an island. This was after the battle with Pika. Zhou Lin realized it later. He was really too cautious. The power of Sea Kings is terrifying, but because he has never seen Sea Kings make a move, so he doesn't have a fixed impression. And quite a few Marine Rear Admirals can kill some Sea Kings, so Zhou Lin felt that the physical fitness of a dozen Sea Kings was not too strong. It now appears that the intensity has already exceeded Zhou Lin's imagination. In addition, now that he has mastered armament hockey and absorbed Pika's combat skills, he should at least be able to do Doflamingo. In this judgment, Zhou Lin is very confident. But it's one thing to be able to do it well, and another to be able to beat it. Let's let Doflamingo go first, wait for the Ope Ope fruit to be snatched, and then turn Doflamingo into a cube and absorb it, so that I can become stronger again, and maybe I can activate Conqueror's Hockey. Zhou Lin thought silently before turning his eyes to the remaining squares. North Blue is really busy these days. Crane Vice Admiral personally led a warship to hunt down Virgo, the cadre of the Don Quixote pirates, and the cube fruit ability suddenly stole the house while Doflamingo was out to meet Virgo. The Don Quixote pirates not only ransacked the large warehouse where they were stationed, but also lost 2 cadres, Pika and Virgo. This is really a huge blow to the Don Quixote pirates. And now Crane Vice Admiral is still in North Blue, continuing to hunt Doflamingo. Doflamingo first fled back to the junkyard station at Speedomales, picked up the crew at the station, and then continued to flee. Under the relentless pursuit of Crane Vice Admiral, the Don Quixote pirates are like a frightened bird, and there is no way to heaven or earth. Now not only the site can't be kept, but it is estimated that all business channels will be lost. The most important thing is to save your life first. Now all forces are watching, and many people expect Doflamingo to be finished, so that North Blue's underground world will have more space to grab. Of course, some people hope that Doflamingo will hold on, because cooperation with Doflamingo can make more profits. However, no one came to help. No one wants to provoke the terrible Marine General Staff at this time. However, at this moment, Crane Vice Admiral was answering Kong's call, and his face that had started to age was even more wrinkled with anger. That is to say, that Doflamingo guy contacted 5 elders, and 5 elders ordered me to stop chasing Doflamingo, and asked me to release Virgo. What a joke. Crane Vice Admiral was really pissed off. Vice Admiral knew about Doflamingo's dirty work in North Blue. Moreover, this guy also put his hand into Marine. If someone hadn't leaked the secret, Virgo might have assumed an important position. For Marine, it was equivalent to a nail buried in the stomach. At this point, Marine can't stand it. I thought I could finally take the opportunity to wipe out this gang of criminals, but the 5 elders intervened. Yes, it is true that Doflamingo is the original celestial dragons, but the Don Quixote family has long since given up their identity as celestial dragons. Doflamingo brought his father's head to Mariajoy to ask for his return, but wasn't it also agreed? Now he asked Marine to stop using the excuse that he is celestial dragons. Didn't he slap himself in the face, and took the opportunity to humiliate Marine? Not only Vice Admiral was angry, but Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr and Akainu in Marineford were also very unhappy. But the old boss has spoken, and the order is from the 5 elders, who dare not listen. In the end, Suru Vice Admiral gritted his teeth and accepted the order, and then asked Guion to release Virgo and turn the warship back to the headquarters. Guion was also furious, and directly threw Virgo into the sea. Since it is said that people are going to be released, it is considered to be released in this way, it is best to drown. At the same time, on the big ship of the Don Quixote pirates, Doflamingo and the others finally breathed a sigh of relief. In the past few days, he was chased by Vice Admiral out of breath, and was almost caught up several times. If it wasn't for good luck, it would really be over. Doflamingo would love to have a fight with Crane Vice Admiral, but he's also genuinely afraid of the old lady in his gut, and he's furious at the thought that his career at North Blue has almost come to naught. In the end, we can only choose the last life-saving method. He knew some secrets of the celestial dragons, and used this as a bargaining chip to negotiate with the 5 elders. Fortunately, the 5 old immortals quickly agreed, and it was finally safe. Crane, Cube Fruit ability user. I can't stop talking to you guys. Go, pick up Virgo. Our business at North Blue is starting all over again. The veins on Doflamingo's forehead were about to burst, but he suppressed his anger and began to order his subordinates to do things. Since he survived this time, he will definitely make a comeback. As a ruthless person, in such a chaotic, dirty and endless era of great pirates, only by unscrupulous means can a great cause be achieved. As long as he doesn't die, he with Conqueror's Haki will definitely reach the top of this world. Newspapers quickly published the matter, which sparked heated discussions throughout the world. Morgans was ordered not to write indiscriminately this time, so many people did not know the inside story, so they all speculated on the reason why Vice Admiral stopped. And people in the underground world also began to contact the Don Quixote pirates again, and the dirty deal continued. But no matter how exciting this incident was, it was not enough to attract the attention of the New World pirate. Today, New World separatism is intensifying, and the battle for territory dominated by the Whitebeard pirates, Beasts pirates, and Big Mom pirates has begun. Many pirates were involved in the feud and either fled the New World or perished in the storm. Or, take refuge in a more powerful pirate group. At the same time, all the countries in the New World are in panic. Even the countries that join the world government are terrified, lest they wake up the next morning to find that the country has been captured by pirates. The world has fallen into madness, and unless the separatist regimes are balanced, no one can stop it. In this way, the time entered the Sea Circle calendar 1509. This year, the eagle-eyed Mohawk found the red-haired Shanks, and the two broke out in a swordsmanship duel. In the end, of course, Hawkeye wins. Because the red-haired Shank's swordsmanship is also well known in the Grand Line, after this battle, there are more and more calls for Mohawk to be the world's #1 swordsman. Hawkeye also directly said that all swordsmen are welcome to challenge. But what not many people know is that the world government has sent someone to contact Hawkeye to discuss the matter of 7 warlords of the sea. But the red-haired Shanks turned the bow and returned to the upside-down mountain. Looking at the big hole guarded by Marine, all members of Red Hair Pirates were very curious, and at the same time guessed who the person with the cubic fruit ability was. The arrival of the Red Hair Pirates made all the Marines guarding the entrance of the cave tense. Captain Ryan quickly contacted the headquarters with a phone bug, and then personally led the warship to block the entrance of the cave, pretending that he would rather die than let the pirates pass through. Yo, Mr. Crocus, Laboon, we meet again. The redhead stood at the bow and greeted with a smile. You boy, why are you back? Crocus was surprised. Hee, I want to visit East Blue. The red-haired man looked at Captain Ryan again. Marine, give me some face and let me go to this cave. Otherwise, we'll have fun with you guys. Swish. The Western Sword Griffin drew out. The crew also showed their weapons and smiled kindly at Marine. At this time, Jolin had just seen Jolin looked at Drago, who was full of joy, and couldn't help being speechless. Dorag, you must be very busy as the leader, why don't you come here to take over in person? You can just let the bear come over. I'm not worried that something will happen to you. Drago said with a smile, the less people know about your affairs, the better, so I can only dispatch myself, and the leader also needs to work. In addition, Shang is negotiating with people from the world government and has no time. Quote. Jolin was taken aback, oh. It's about 7 warlords of the sea. It seems that you already know. Since the world government implements the Shichibukai system, it is an opportunity for us to do something. It's good that you have your own plan, and I have mine too. Jolin already knew that Shang would become one of the Shichibukai, so it wasn't surprising, but he didn't intend to get involved too much. He had his own idea of doing things. Especially after becoming stronger now, many things are operable. By the way, who are you going to eat the shishi fruit? Jolin asked casually. It's not confirmed yet, but don't worry. For such an excellent fruit, we must choose the most suitable candidate. Now we are still short of people, and we will talk about it when we recruit more talents. Duolage still has a good opinion of Shishiguo, very important. Jolin thought about it, but he didn't know who shishi fruit was suitable for. After all, the current timeline has not yet reached the plot, and many people are still children. Take Kuina for example. If Kuina survives successfully, she may join the revolutionary army because of Shimotsuki Koshiro's relationship. At that time, shishi fruit may not be suitable for her, and it can just solve her problem of weak female physique. Just thinking of Kuina turning into a stone girl, Jolin couldn't help shaking his head. Forget it, this kind of thing can only be left to chance, wait for Kuina to get rid of that death. Drago continued, what are you going to do next? Continue to make trouble in North Blue. I got news that Doflamingo has placed a bounty on you in the underground world. The bounty is as high as 300 million Baileys. Now many people are watching your where are the heads. Oh, that hooligan is so willing to spend money. Jolin couldn't help laughing. It seems that I really pissed that guy off, but it doesn't matter, they still don't know that I am a cube fruit ability user, so I can still play around. Of course, if something bad happens under the circumstances, I will naturally give priority to running. Okay, I will provide you with information in time, you must be careful. Don't worry, don't worry. In addition, you must also give me information about other sea areas, and I will change positions at any time according to the situation. After chatting for a short time, Jolin watched Drago leave. Now we still have to wait for the Ope Ope fruit deal. So we don't plan to leave North Blue for the time being, but we have to settle down for the time being, otherwise if the plan of snatching Ope Ope fruit is ruined due to exposure, it will be bad. When he came to the shore, he took out wooden cubes and assembled a small boat. To be on the safe side, I will not use the fruit ability for the time being, in case a passing news bird sees it. Jolin suddenly thought of something. It seemed that when he first came to this world, he flew side by side with News Bird, but Morgan's didn't seem to know his appearance. So Morgan's bird fruit ability can only command the News Bird, but can't get more news from the News Bird. That would be great. At least when flying, you won't be wary of passing birds. Jolin felt relieved, and leisurely rowed the boat to the nearest island. The weather in the Four Seas is still very stable. Even if you are rowing a small boat, you are not afraid of being swallowed by the wind and waves. It took Jolin a day to reach the island slowly. There is a small town on the island, but the atmosphere in the town is rather tense. At first I thought there were pirates, but I didn't expect that there were gangsters searching. It seemed that they wanted to find people with cube fruit abilities. It seems that the temptation of 300 million Baileys is not small. Jolin was also stopped and searched by gangsters. In the end, it was Jolin who took out hundreds of Baileys and sent these people away. Thinking about it, I know that these gangsters are searching for benefits under the banner of hunting cube fruit ability users. No matter whether there is a result or not, they are all profitable. Zhou Lin didn't bother to get angry. Anyway, he looked like he had no money, and being able to take out a few hundred Baileys was like emptying his wallet. As long as they don't resist, the gangsters won't beat people too much, but they still scolded poor people. Zhou Lin didn't care too much. After watching the gangsters leave, he went to a store and bought some newspapers to read. The newspapers actually published the reward order for the underground world. Mysterious Cube Man, offering a bounty of 300 million Baileys. Live or die. And there is a photo, but Zhou Lin is wearing a mask and a cloak, just like no photo. In addition, there is news of the sword fight between Red Hair and Hawkeye. There is no doubt that Hawkeye won. Afterwards, many swordsmen challenged Hawkeye, and Hawkeye won without exception. Now everyone is talking about Hawkeye being the world's #1 swordsman. I don't know when this title will be implemented. In comparison, Zhou Lin still pays more attention to the news of Red Hair pirates. Now that the New World separatist situation is intensifying, Red Hair pirates did not rush into New World to grab the territory but left Grand Line to East Blue leisurely. This incident naturally attracted the attention of various forces, but no one knew what Hongfa was doing in East Blue. This guy, maybe he really went to see Ace. After all, Ace is the son of his old captain. And he also brought rubber fruit, which was specially snatched from the CP staff. This is to let Ace eat it. Zhou Lin thinks this explanation is reasonable. Otherwise, what would Red Hair do in East Blue Windmill Village instead of robbing New World? Obviously, the redhead thinks that Roger's son will inherit Roger's will, and the rubber fruit is the key to the future, and he definitely expects to see Ace eat the rubber fruit. It is estimated that the appearance of Wong Luffy is completely beyond Shank's expectation. But this is not what Zhou Lin should care about. Anyway, whether it is Ace or Luffy, it has nothing to do with Zhou Lin. What he has to do now is wait for the opportunity. Time flies, and before you know it, 2 months have passed. 2 months was enough for North Blue to regain its composure, perhaps because many forces began to choose to give up because they couldn't find cube fruit-capable users. Doflamingo also began to devote himself to the business of the underground world. Without anyone noticing, Zhou Lin went around many times and arrived at Cayenne Island openly, and secretly observed the wind direction of the eastern island. It was also at this time that Doflamingo received information about an upcoming Ope Ope fruit trade in Mignon Island. Ohm out of Red Lion's cave and handed a bunch of small cubes to Drago. Former Marine General and current pirate Diane Burrells wants to trade Ope Ope fruit with Marine executives through the relationship of Don Quixote family. Doflamingo didn't hesitate, and immediately decided to agree. But he won't let go of Ope Ope fruit. Ope Ope fruit is the legendary devil fruit. It is rumored that people can obtain eternal life, which also makes Ope Ope fruit extremely precious. The world government is willing to pay 5 billion Baileys to buy it. It's just that Burrells is stupid enough. It's a waste to sell such a powerful devil fruit. Doflamingo naturally covets the Ope Ope fruit. Now that the opportunity is here, he can't let it go, even if he offends the world government severely. To be on the safe side, Doflamingo decided to do it himself this time. At the same time, Kong and Sengoku also received the trade application, and they agreed without hesitation, and immediately asked people to prepare money, and sent a heavyweight general like he Vice Admiral to trade. Ope Ope fruit is too important, Kong has to be careful. With the strength of he Vice Admiral, he should be able to escort Ope Ope fruit back to Marineford smoothly. However, because the transaction application was handed over from the Don Quixote pirates, Sengoku was worried that the greedy Doflamingo would make a move, so he immediately contacted Rocinante, who was undercover, to inform him of the transaction and let Rocinante monitor it. Doflamingo, if something is wrong, report it immediately. It's just that Sengoku doesn't know that his adopted son is now taking Luo, who is seriously ill, to seek medical treatment. The appearance of Ope Ope fruit made Rocinante move his mind. At this time, Zhou Lin, who was wandering on Cayenne Island, also noticed the abnormality of Mignon Island, but he did not act rashly, but waited for a few days, and then quietly flew over by a cube in the dark. Coincidentally, tonight happens to be the trading time. The atmosphere on Mignon Island has also become very delicate. Zhou Lin quietly flew to the vicinity of the island, intending to land on the island quietly. It's just that sometimes people are unlucky and drink water will get stuck between their teeth. Just as Zhou Lin flew over a cliff, he found a dog-headed warship parked by the sea under the cliff. Standing on the bow of the warship was a muscular man wearing a dog-headed hat. It turned out to be the legendary marine hero, Drago's father, Monkey D. Garp. Garp, why did this old man come here? Zhou Lin was startled, and quickly and carefully manipulated the cube to shrink back. But it's too late. Garp raised his head suddenly, looked at Zhou Lin who was standing on the cube and laughed, ha 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 ha. You are here, cube fruit power user. I have been waiting for a long time, since you are here, please stay. As he said that, he jumped up suddenly, and he was in front of Zhou Lin in an instant, and his huge fist went straight to Zhou Lin's face. Surprised, Zhou Lin quickly stabilized the square under his feet, wrapped his arms around armament hockey and crossed in front of his face, and felt overwhelming fists hitting his arms in the next second. Boom! Zhou Lin was sent flying. It smashed hard under the cliff. Fortunately, it was not smashed into the sea, otherwise it might be over. Moreover, Zhou Lin's physical body is very strong now, and his defense was in place just now. After receiving this punch, he didn't do much. He quickly got up, but he still looked at Garp with vigilance and fear. This old man is the pinnacle of power in the sea, and he is definitely 50-50 with the current Whitebeard. Moreover, he is only in his 60s now, and his hair is still black. It can be seen that his physical strength and strength are at their peak. Such a pervert is simply impossible to fight. Besides, the old man is very smart. From what he said just now, he can be sure that Garp guessed that Zhou Lin would come to this island, so he came here to stay here. Thinking about it, he felt terrible. You little brat is pretty good. Garp couldn't help being surprised. You're still alive and kicking after being punched by this old man, and you're already able to use armament hockey so skillfully at such a young age, but this old man underestimated you. Zhou Lin silently tightened the mask on his face. In order not to reveal his appearance for the time being, he wore a mask when he came here. If he could run away now, Marine would still have no way of knowing what a cubic fruit ability user looks like. But Garp obviously can't let him go easily. Zhou Lin was very upset at this time. Old man Garp, why don't you take care of your grandson in your hometown? What are you doing here? Garp landed not far from Zhou Lin, and picked his nostrils habitually. The old man wants to go home to bring his grandson, but the old man thinks you are interesting, so I want to see what the person who digs through the upside-down mountain looks like. How did you guess I would come here? This is the intuition of a veteran. I believe you. You're a bad old man. Nani, how dare you call this old man a bad old man? Let you taste the old man's iron fist. As Garp said, he rushed forward again. It was still an unremarkable straight punch, but this punch gave Zhou Lin a feeling that it was difficult to dodge. So Zhou Lin didn't hide at all, and quickly put his horse into place. Armament hockey was wrapped around his fist, and he faced Garp's iron fist with all his strength. Boom! Fist and fist collided, and a violent roar erupted. The terrifying fist wind shook the cliff next to it, and the sea surface was also a little turbulent. However, Zhou Lin stood still, and blocked Garp's iron fist with his fist, making Garp unable to advance any further. Moreover, Garp staggered back 2 steps. Garp was even more surprised. Good guy, are you sea kings? How can you have such great strength? Zhou Lin couldn't help being surprised too. Garp definitely didn't use his full strength, at least armament hockey didn't use much, relying on most of the strength of his physical body, but even so, it was already terrifying. However, with all his strength, Zhou Lin not only blocked Garp's punch, but also forced Garp back. This is really rare. On the Doghead warship, Adjutant Bogart and all the sailors were also stunned. Except for Roger, the Pirate King, they had never seen anyone who could beat Garp back. This scene was simply unimaginable. Instead of being self-righteous, Zhou Lin quickly calmed down and quickly judged his own strength in his heart. Not to mention anything else, just in terms of physical strength, I am afraid that he is already on par with Garp. After all, it has absorbed the physical energy of more than a dozen Sea Kings, and none of them are ordinary Sea Kings. Each of them is a monster as big as an island, and its strength is very powerful. But that alone can't beat Garp. Garp can also arm and play, and also knows Conqueror's winding, and observation hockey didn't use it. The gap between Zhou Lin and Garp is still huge. Once Garp gets serious, Jolin will definitely be dropped in seconds, without even a chance to run away. At this moment, a fire suddenly lit up in Mignon Island. However, no sound was heard. Jolin's complexion changed immediately. He guessed that Sengoku's adopted son Rocinante made the move. If there is no accident, he should have got the Ope Ope fruit by now, and he will stuff the fruit into Luo's mouth soon. Must stop this from happening. Ope Ope fruit must be grabbed. So Jolin stepped back suddenly, trying to get rid of Garp's entanglement, but Garp took the opportunity to entangle him, and hit him with another iron fist. Jolin had no choice but to swing his fist with all his strength again, colliding with Garp's iron fist. Boom! Jolin was actually punched flying. Garp, you fool, you don't talk about martial arts morality, and you fight with young people and use your armed force, how dare you face it? Jolin flew upside down while yelling, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, obviously suffering from internal injuries. This is caused by Garp's armed color. Even if Jolin is physically strong, he can't bear it. But it just so happened that Jolin took the opportunity to stay away from Garp, and when he landed, he immediately cut out a block from the ground, and manipulated the block to bring him up into the sky. Garp was embarrassed by Jolin's scolding, and was stunned to see Jolin flying away on a cube. Immediately reacted, "You cunning brat, don't even think about running away from the old man." The old man used his armed force to release it. What can you do? Stop quickly, take off the mask and surrender obediently, otherwise the old man's iron fist will not show mercy. While shouting, he chased after him. His speed was terrifying. Jolin was also afraid of the old man, so he tried to fly as high as possible, and then quickly searched the ground with his eyes. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to see a man in a black feather coat stuff a heart-shaped fruit into the mouth of a child wearing a Madara cap. The two are Rocinante and Luo. Wait, don't eat. Jolin couldn't help shouting, but neither Rocinante nor Luo responded, because the sound was blocked by Rocinante's silent fruit ability. Garp also spotted the two at this time and recognized Rocinante. It also changed his complexion. What's going on here? Isn't Sengoku's adopted son supposed to be spying on Doflamingo? Why is he here? Why is the Ope Ope fruit in his hands? Why is he feeding the fruit to that kid? Who is that kid? A series of questions raced through Garp's mind. It's just too late. Luo suddenly swallowed the fist-sized Ope Ope fruit with force. Jolin suddenly slammed on the brakes and almost fell from the air. It seems that he is destined to miss Ope Ope fruit. He did not expect such a result after lurking for such a long time. Maybe Ope Ope fruit is really destined to be with Luo. However, Jolin couldn't help being annoyed, and shouted at Garp, "Old man Garp. It's all your fault for stopping me. Otherwise, I'd have grabbed the Ope Ope fruit. Square boy, please be honest with me first, and I will deal with you later." Garp didn't bother to pay attention to Jolin now, but strode forward. "Rocinante, explain to me what's going on. Why did you grab the Ope Ope fruit?" Rocinante felt someone approaching, turned around vigilantly, and was overjoyed when he saw Garp. Hastily withdrew the silence ability, just in time to hear Garp's question. Rocinante froze, and said with a firm scalp, "Vice Admiral Garp, the Ope Ope fruit has been eaten by Luo, that is, this kid, so it is useless to say more now. Vice Admiral Garp, I beg you for one thing, please bring Luo, let's go." Jolin, who was in midair, was taken aback when he heard the words, and sighed helplessly. If there's one Celestial Dragon's character you can't hate, it's Rocinante. He was so kind, he didn't have the Celestial Dragon's mentality of treating people's lives like nothing, and he didn't even have the slightest aloofness. He was willing to sacrifice himself for an unrelated child like Luo. How could such a person be hated? Jolin is an anime fan. Influenced by the original novel, he hates celestial dragons very much, but one thing must be clear, celestial dragons does not refer to certain individuals but to the exploiting class in this world. To overthrow the rule of the celestial dragons does not mean killing all the celestial dragons, but eliminating exploitation and oppression. Yes, isn't the elimination of classes the ultimate goal of mankind? Therefore, even if Rocinante was celestial dragons, Jolin would not hate it, but felt that Rocinante's death was a pity. Now hearing Rocinante's words, I can't help being moved. So Jolin interjected. "Garp, you idiot, if you want to ask a question, you have to heal the injury before asking, can't you see that he was seriously injured?" Garp immediately reacted, and without saying a word, stepped forward to pick up Rocinante, slipped up Rocinante, turned around and ran towards the dog-headed warship quickly. Not even giving Rocinante a chance to say anything more. Garp's voice also followed. Square boy, for the sake of reminding the old man will not arrest you this time. But be careful, the next time I meet the old man, I won't let you go easily. Zhou Lin said it doesn't matter. Since he wasn't caught by Garp this time, he won't be at his current strength the next time we meet. Maybe it will be 50-50 with Garp then. And Garp should be grateful. After all, Rocinante is Sengoku's adoptive son. If the treatment was delayed because of Garp's questioning, causing Rocinante to lose too much blood and die, then Garp probably wouldn't have the face to see Sengoku. But Zhou Lin was still upset. His meowing Garp, if he hadn't stopped him, Ope Ope fruit would have been obtained. After planning for such a long time, but in the end, I did useless work and was injured in vain. No matter how I think about it, I feel that I am at a loss. No, I want to complain to Drago, and beat Wang Luffy half to death if I have a chance in the future. I can't beat you old man, so I will settle the score with your son and grandson. Zhou Lin made up his mind and quickly chose another direction to fly. I will not stay in North Blue for the time being, I will go to other sea areas first, maybe there will be unexpected gains. It's just that Zhou Lin was really unlucky today. Not long after flying, he saw a flamingo swinging towards him like Spider-Man. It was Doflamingo. Doflamingo was taken aback when he saw Zhou Lin, and then became furious instantly. Okay, it turns out that you are the one with the cube fruit ability. Lousy is going to chop you into pieces today. Doflamingo was really out of anger, and even the purpose of coming this time was forgotten. Ope Ope fruit is indeed important, but killing Zhou Lin for revenge is more important, because the Zhou Lin raided his base camp, stole his ammunition, and killed Pika. Every pile and piece is enough for this fool to die 10,000 times. Therefore, if he doesn't kill this fool today, he swears not to be human. On the other side, Garp brought Rocinante and Luo to the Kotu warship, arranged for the military doctor to treat them immediately, and at the same time did not forget to contact the Vice Admiral. Crane Vice Admiral came to Mignon Island with a mission. Before the transaction officially started, the Ope Ope fruit had been snatched and fed to a child by Rocinante. In this matter, Rocinante cannot escape the blame. Sengoku will also be implicated. Suru Vice Admiral will also be blamed for his ineffectiveness. The impact is really not small. What the world government wants is Ope Ope fruit, no matter what your reason is. Eternal life is so tempting. There are many people in power in the world government. When enjoying the supreme power, what they look forward to is naturally eternal life, so they naturally attach great importance to Ope Ope fruit. Now that this has happened, none of the relevant personnel can escape, and all of them must be held accountable. Fortunately, both Sengoku and Crane Vice Admiral are the top leaders of Marine, and Rocinante also has a special status, so there shouldn't be any severe punishment. But what to do with the kid who ate Ope Ope fruit is more troublesome. Garp doesn't want to take care of it, and he already plans to leave the trouble to Sengoku. Anyway, this matter was committed by Sengoku's adopted son, and it is better for Sengoku to handle it. Informing Crane Vice Admiral also told the old lady not to work. As soon as Garp hung up the phone, he sensed the situation on the island and immediately smiled with interest. He became more and more interested in this cube kid, and now it was time to see his real strength. If this kid couldn't do Doflamingo, he didn't mind saving him. It just happened to return the invitation to the person the kid reminded me just now. At this time, Zhou Lin and Doflamingo faced each other in the sky above Mignon Island. Hearing Doflamingo's roar, Zhou Lin scratched his ears nonchalantly, showing no sign of fear at all. And Zhou Lin also said with a smile, "Just like that, you were getting angry from embarrassment, then you were really small enough. Let me tell you one more thing, the information that Virgo is an undercover agent was also revealed to Vice Admiral by me. Oh, are you surprised? Are you surprised? You die for me." Doflamingo erupted completely, raised his hand and ejected the thread to hit Zhou Lin's throat. Zhou Lin remained motionless, a small square floated out of his arms, just blocking the end of the thread, and the small square pulled the thread under Zhou Lin's control, pulling Doflamingo forward. And Doflamingo used his strength to rush forward, and raising his foot was a move of leg shave string. This kick was so fast that Jolin couldn't even react. I have to say that this guy has developed string fruit very well. Every gesture is a murderous trick, and the silk thread is too fine to be guarded against. The most important thing is that Jolin doesn't know observation hockey, so he is at a disadvantage. With a pop, the leg shave string struck Jolin's abdomen, his clothes were torn open immediately, and fresh blood flowed out from his flesh. But without even frowning, Jolin grabbed Doflamingo's feet with one hand, and raised his sandbag-sized fist with the other hand to slam Doflamingo's face hard. Doflamingo raised his hand to grab Jolin's fist, but looked at Jolin's injured abdomen. It turned out that only the outer skin was scratched. How is it possible? Doflamingo couldn't help being surprised. He was sure that his leg shave string attack had used all its strength, and the opponent had not defended it with armament hockey, but the damage was only so small, it was almost like scratching an itch. Could it be that his attack power is too weak? Wrong. It's because this guy's skin is too thick. Jolin couldn't help showing a smile, obviously satisfied with his flesh defense. When confronting Garp before, Jolin kept on positioning his own strength, and he did suffer internal injuries when receiving Garp's move of armed color, but it was not serious. So Jolin came to the conclusion that his own defense is already very strong. If the opponent doesn't use armor or Conqueror's entanglement, it is extremely difficult to seriously injure him, and it is even more impossible to kill him. So, he's not afraid of Doflamingo at all. Seeing Doflamingo's surprised expression, Jolin was also unambiguous, and kicked Doflamingo's abdomen with a kick. Doflamingo hastily raised his other foot, wrapped around armament hockey to block Jolin's foot, only to hear a bang and a slight click. How is it possible? Are you a monster? Doflamingo's foot flinched, apparently with a broken bone. He didn't expect Jolin's kick to be so powerful. Even with armament hockey, he couldn't defend it. It was just as unreasonable as a monster like Kaido. But the more this happened, the angrier Doflamingo became. How could he lose to such an unknown kid who hides his head and shows his tail? There is no way he will lose. You die for me. Doflamingo roared again, and the Conqueror's hockey burst out, shaking Jolin into a trance. Well, Conqueror's sneak attack, you are not good at martial arts. Doflamingo took the opportunity to break free from Jolin's hand, and swiped out sharp 5-color strings with his 10 fingers to greet Jolin frantically, while Jolin instinctively used his arms to defend. For a while, the two fought back and forth in midair. But most of the time, Doflamingo is attacking wildly, while Jolin is passive defense. Over time, the clothes on Jolin's body became horrible, and there were fine scars on his body, with blood oozing out, making Jolin look like a bloody man. However, the wound under the blood has begun to heal. After absorbing so many Sea King's physical energy, the body's self-healing ability has also become extremely strong, not weaker than those monsters on the sea. In comparison, Doflamingo is much more uncomfortable. Although the frequency of Jolin's attacks was not high, the strength of each attack was extremely strong, and each punch seemed to carry the power to break mountains and seas, causing Doflamingo to be severely injured. Who the hell are you? Dare you take off your mask? Dare you say your name? Doflamingo roared again. Me, hee, if you don't want to change your name or surname, my name is Rocks. As for my appearance, you can check it out, it will definitely scare you. Jolin smiled. Kaido. Garp, who was peeking on the Doghead warship, was speechless for a moment. God, Rocks. This guy must be fooling Doflamingo. But very few people in the younger generation knew about Rocks, and Doflamingo didn't seem to know either, thinking that Jolin had finally declared himself a family, and finally knew the name of his enemy. Okay, is it Rocks? You don't need to check your appearance, I will kill you today, and I will be ashamed. After Doflamingo finished speaking, there was an evil smile on the corner of his mouth. He suddenly opened his palm, and a ball of white thread suddenly shot up into the sky, exploding in the sky like fireworks. White fireworks fell, slowly covering Mignon Island like a white cage. Oh, is this your ultimate birdcage? Jolin didn't have any fear. Doflamingo, do you think you can trap me with this broken cage? Doflamingo is very confident. If you are really capable, then escape and see. Jolin took a deep look at Doflamingo. He didn't want to defeat this guy. Now Jolin's armament hockey is still relatively weak, and he doesn't know observation hockey. It is not easy to defeat this guy. If the guy just dodges until the birdcage closes, that's pretty troublesome. However, Jolin also has a way to defeat Doflamingo, but the consumption is estimated to be quite large. Garp is still on this island now. Don't beat this guy and be caught by Garp, that would be bad. It is not suitable to stay here for a long time, it is still the best policy. Then I'll run away and show you one. As Jolin said, he turned around and flew towards the edge of birdcage, in the opposite direction to the direction of the dog-headed warship. Jolin is more afraid of Garp than Doflamingo. But Doflamingo seemed to calm down instead, just looking at Jolin's back leisurely, without any intention of catching up, obviously very confident in his own move. He felt that Jolin would definitely not be able to escape. After finding out that the escape failed, he would definitely run back and continue fighting. He wanted to see this fool looking hopeless and helpless, so that he could really relieve the hatred in his heart. Soon, Jolin reached the edge of the birdcage, and first tried to smash it with his armed fist, but found that it didn't work. Then it turned the ground into squares and slammed into birdcage crazily. As a result, birdcage's sharp white line cut all the squares into pieces. Yeah, it's useless. You're going to die. Doflamingo laughed. Garp on the dog-headed warship couldn't help being surprised. He didn't expect Doflamingo to have such a trick. Should he go to save the kid, don't wait until he is dead. Jolin gave Doflamingo the back of his head. Then continue to press the ground with your hands, and keep making cubes to bomb the birdcage. Even if it doesn't work, you still do it, but it still can't stop the birdcage from shrinking. However, Doflamingo's sight was blocked by smoke and dust, and as the ground continued to become blocks, the height of the ground also dropped rapidly. It didn't take long to reach 30 meters underground. Jolin finally saw the end of the thread, and he knew that Doflamingo's birdcage could not penetrate so much underground. The deeper the ground, the greater the obstacles, and the greater the consumption of Doflamingo. Therefore, Jolin will compete with Doflamingo for depth. The cubic fruit ability suddenly started to work crazily, and the ground also turned into cubes crazily, but Jolin went 40 meters underground in an instant. While the thread was still on the top, he immediately made a passage to drill out of the range of birdcage, and then quickly dug towards the outside of the island. It didn't take long to feel the coast. Doflamingo was smug at first, but Jolin's attack on birdcage stopped suddenly, which gave him a bad feeling. So he quickly jumped to the edge of the birdcage, and found that a deep pit was formed on the ground, and a passage was opened under the deep pit, and the fool had already escaped from the birdcage. Ah, rocks, you fool, you can't run today. Doflamingo was furious, immediately removed the birdcage, and rushed towards the ground passage. But Jolin rushed out of the ground first, and then controlled the cube to sprint to the high altitude in the distance, flying wherever there are no clouds. I don't believe Doflamingo can catch up. When Doflamingo rushed to the shore, Jolin's back had turned into a small dot. And in the sky without clouds, he couldn't use his strength to swing, so he couldn't fly, and it was impossible to catch up. Fool, let me touch you next time, and I will definitely kill you. Rocks, I'm sworn to death with you. Not only you, your family and friends, I will not let go. Rocks, you are dead. Doflamingo spat trash talk frantically at the coast. The character set completely collapsed, spraying so much that even Rock's coffin board couldn't be held down. Garp on the warship was speechless. In the end, Doflamingo not only didn't even see the face of the Cube Kid, but was fooled by the Cube Kid with a fake name, which is pitiful enough. Garp also didn't expect Jolin to run away by himself, but he found out Jolin's strength. It is extremely rare to be able to reach this level at a young age, but I don't know what the purpose of this kid is, why he wants to dig through the upside-down mountain, and why he wants to target Doflamingo. At this time, Jolin had already flown a long way. He touched the bloodline on his body, and rubbed off a blood scab. The wound under the blood scab had already been replaced by intact skin. Has it recovered yet? This physical body is indeed pervert, but it's still not enough. I have to continue to absorb Sea King's physical cubes. Let's first aim to double the physical strength of Kaido's pervert. Kaido is in the form of a blue dragon of the zone fish fruit phantom beast, and the pervert of the flesh body is not easy to hurt. If the physical body can reach twice the strength of Kaido, it is estimated that armament hockey can't do it with a knife to cut the appendix, then it is truly powerful. I hope I can do it one day, and I hope I don't get appendicitis at that time. Otherwise you will die. Jolin flew for a long time, and finally flew to a deserted island in Calm Belt, where he was finally not afraid of being discovered, so he had a good rest first. To be on the safe side, dig a deep pit and live underground so that you won't be disturbed. When I got to the ground, I contacted Drago first, and started the complaint mode. Dorag, your father is a good man. If he hadn't stopped me, I would have grabbed the Ope Ope fruit for us. And the old man's fist was so hard that he almost beat me into a serious injury. Fortunately, my life great, otherwise I will explain this time. It's good that you're fine. It took Dorag a long time to hold back a sentence, he really didn't know how to respond. For his father, Drago is also very helpless, because he can't beat him, and he is doing a secret business now, let alone complain to his father. The shoe prints on his face are still painful. Fortunately, Jolin only complained for the comfort of his heart, and he felt much better, so he changed the subject on his own initiative. Dorag, I'm going to go to West Blue to have a look. You can sort out the information on West Blue and then tell me. Especially West Blue's gangsters, those guys have a lot of Baileys, arms and supplies. Do something to them, it's a good deed, and I'm targeting the gangsters. By the way, I'll help find Nico Robin. Leave me the intel. Is Nico Robin still at West Blue? It should be. I think it should still be there. If you really can't find it, there is nothing you can do. You will always meet it in the future. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.